Hey there, and welcome to Weeb Novel Audiobook, your hub for epic fanfics, original stories, and thrilling adventures brought to life. Make sure to subscribe for regular updates and swing by my Patreon for early access and exclusive mature content. Now, sit back and enjoy the journey.
Chapter 25, Then I'm Not a Real Man Pa. A light wound sounded but was easily drowned by the loud noise of the crowd in the theme park. Emily's eyes had shut close when she saw the girl in front of her lifting her hand, and she readied herself for the slap, but the familiar pain that she was expecting never came. Instead, it was the familiar voice of her brother that sounded from behind her. "What do you think you're trying to do?" Alex asked in an extremely cold voice while holding the wrist of the girl in the air. He had rushed forward after seeing this random worm try to slap his cute sister and had caught her hand in the air before she could touch Emily. Alex secretly sighed with relief. Good thing he had acted fast enough. He might have done something horrible to this girl had she slapped Emily in front of him. The three girls stared at Alex with shock in their eyes. It was even more so for the girl whose hand Alex was currently gripping. She didn't even see him move, and it was as if he had teleported right behind Emily and grabbed her hand before she could even bring it down. Was this the strength of a trash mage? She thought to herself as she tried to force her hand out of Alex's grip, but she was further shocked to see that she couldn't move her hand at all. Alex's grip was like a firm iron claw that held her tightly in place. She was even starting to feel some pain. Here, let go. Do you know who my father is? My sister is here as well. Let go at this instant if you don't want something bad to happen. The girl threatened, but her face showed a panicking look. Alex's face remained cold. His eyes were like those of ruthless assassins. He could already guess that these three were the reason for Emily's miserable state. Every time he came to get her from school, they dared to trouble her outside since they couldn't do anything in their school anymore. Did they really think that they were untouchable? I'll ask you again. What do you think you're trying to do to my sister? Alex asked again. His right hand held the girl's wrist firmly while his left hand held the two cotton candies. The other two girls had fearful expressions on their faces as they slowly stepped back. Alex's words and expression were scaring them. They didn't expect the always dull-looking boy to have such a savage side. As for the girl with red hair, her face had turned ugly from Alex holding and questioning her. Unable to bear it anymore, she snapped. What does it look like? Your sister is trash just like you, and I was only trying to slap her as punishment. She spat out while looking Alex in the eyes. Be big brother, let's go. Emily's soft voice sounded in between them. She didn't want her brother to get involved with these three girls since it could cause him more trouble. Alex glanced at her before handing the two cotton candies in his left hand. Hold this. Emily received the two candies and stared at them with confusion. Why give both to her? After freeing his left hand, Alex turned back to look at the red-haired girl with cold eyes before slowly saying, slap her as punishment? Listen closely, no one touches my sister. Alex had kept out the last sentence as a whisper. His voice caused the body of the red-haired girl to shiver slightly, and she felt cold for some reason. After saying his piece, Alex suddenly lifted his left hand with the back of his palm angled at the girl's left cheek. Without being told, everyone realized what he was about to do, and their eyes couldn't help but widen. Emily felt her soul almost leaving her body, and she wanted to stop her brother, but for some reason, she did not and just stared with wide eyes. Alex? What the fuck are you trying to do to my sister? Just before Alex's hand could deliver the slap, an angry yet familiar voice rang from not far away. All of them stopped what they were doing and looked over. They saw a young girl who seemed to be between 18 and 19 in an expensive outfit and two bodyguards in black suits rushing over. Alex recognized the girl. It was his classmate, Laura. The hope of the academy in the coming competition, according to teacher Arnold. Meanwhile, the eyes of the red-haired girl who was about to be slapped by Alex brightened, and she excitedly called out, Sis, this person is bullying me. Alex looked at the girl before looking at Laura. He could see the resemblance. So she's your sister? No wonder she's as rotten as you, Alex said softly, but everyone heard it. Laura's eyes twitched when she heard it. She felt that her ears were playing tricks on her because the Alex she knew would never dare to say such a thing to her even if he was given 10 more guts. Ignoring Alex's words, she glared at him and ordered him to let her sister go. Or what? Alex asked, still maintaining his grip on the girl's wrist. Emily already had a nervous expression on her face as she looked at the two men in black suits. She was worried about her brother. The other two girls simply watched from the side. Kid, let the young lady go. Otherwise, you might not be able to walk home on your own. One of the men in black suit snickered. Alex merely glanced at him before looking back at Laura. The other party was only an ordinary human and wasn't worth his attention. Your sister and her friends were bullying my sister, isn't it only fair that I educate them on morals? Alex asked as a small grin formed on his lips. For some reason, Laura was getting a bad feeling from the grin on Alex's face. So what? It's just little girls messing around, who are you to correct her? Laura said, her tone as arrogant as always. The brother of the person being messed with, Alex retorted coldly. Laura's eyes flashed with sharp glint. She wanted to launch a spell at Alex's face, but he was still holding her sister. Then what are you going to do? You aren't going to hit her just because she messed with your sister. A real man wouldn't hit a woman. Laura said with a smirk. Alex paused for a brief moment as if he was thinking about something. His eyes looked around before settling on the girl in front of him. His grin grew larger as she slowly said, if it involves my sister, then sorry, I'm not a real man. Laura's expression changed drastically upon hearing Alex's words, and she was about to say something, but it was too late because immediately after Alex finished speaking, his hand dropped down like lightning. The speed wasn't too fast, but it was fast enough for the surrounding people not to follow it with their eyes. Bam! The back of Alex's palm fiercely smashed into the left side of the girl's face. Her cheeks folded as she was sent flying to the side while leaving a trail of saliva in the air. That must have cost her a tooth or two. Alex commented inwardly as she watched the girl fly to the side before crashing into the ground with a bright red cheek. He had made sure to control his strength so the damage was manageable. How dare you? Boom. Chapter 26, Shocking Laura. Laura's body exploded with a loud sound as mana gushed out of her body like a powerful wave, causing her clothes and hair to flutter violently while the powerful shock wave sent sand and dust flying in all directions. Those around them, including the two guards, had to protect their eyes by covering their faces with this hand. Laura's action had attracted the attention of everyone in the theme park and they all stopped to see what was happening. Look, it's a mage. A little boy who was holding onto his mother's hand pointed at Laura and screamed excitedly with sparkling eyes. It was rare to see mages displaying their might in public. Many people were also discussing the matter as they looked at the scene in front of them. Laura ignored everything that was going on around her. Her eyes moved to her sister's motionless body before returning to Alex's face. She was so angry that she wanted to burn his face. As a mage at the high stage of the adept rank, she was very capable of doing such. I gave you a chance, but you didn't value it. Don't think I'll let you go just because we're classmates. I tolerated you enough in the academy. Laura spat coldly as blazing red stars began to appear behind her. Emily was scared out of her wits as she witnessed this sight and could not help but turn to her brother. She had long dropped the 2 cotton candies after this fierce-looking lady with red hair exploded with mana. She wanted to run away with her brother. Brother, let's run. Emily urged in panic, but Alex didn't move. His face was calm as he watched Laura form a single star pattern. Only a single word came to his mind as he watched. Slow. Skill activated, aura meter. Boom. The next moment, Alex exploded with mana as well. He had activated the skill of the system that allowed him to show a fake level of strength and hide his real strength. Unlike the pendant of deterrence, the aura meter only allowed Alex to display a fake rank that was weaker than his actual rank. Since he was a core mage, the skill automatically set to the adept rank. So when Alex exploded with mana, the pressure of an adept mage spread out from his body, but his mana wasn't as powerful as Laura's. This was because Emily was right next to him. He didn't want to hurt his sister by accident. However, this action was mistaken by Laura, and she thought that Alex was weaker than her despite being in the adept rank as well. After all, the substages were what differentiated mages of the same rank. But her eyes widened the next moment as a realization struck her like cold lightning. Wait, how's this possible? Wasn't he still at the apprentice mage rank? How is he at the adept rank now? Laura was so shocked that she lost focus for a moment. The loss of focus while connecting one's stars was the same as shooting oneself in the foot while loading one's gun. It was disastrous. After being shocked by Alex's sudden increase in strength, Laura lost control of the stars behind her, and this caused her almost formed star to collapse. A wicked backlash struck her soul sea and caused her mana to become chaotic. Laura's eyes widened as she bent over and spat out blood while clutching her chest in pain. "Mom, look, 2 mages." The kid from earlier screamed excitedly again while pointing at Alex. Laura forcefully raised her head while enduring the pain in her soul sea. She saw Alex standing tall behind Emily with his eyes glowing with a silver-white light while his right hand was stretched toward her. "How does it feel to be in such a position?" Alex's cold voice rang in her ears. Stars began to appear behind him rapidly and connected into a star pattern at a speed that shocked her once again. So fast! Laura exclaimed inwardly. She couldn't react if Alex used a spell now. "Hey brat, don't hurt the young lady." At this moment, a loud voice rang from the side. It was one of Laura's guards. The 2 of them were rushing toward Alex with blunt weapons in their hands. Emily was frightened by this, but Alex remained expressionless. "Didn't anyone tell you that you shouldn't charge at a mage if you value your life?" Alex snarled before turning his gaze on the 2 men. Their speed was slightly faster than normal people, but it was nothing in front of alex.feebnovel.com telekinesis, Alex chanted before suddenly waving his hand to the side. An invisible palm suddenly slapped the 2 guards and sent them flying to the side like ragged dolls. They crashed into the ground and rolled for a few meters on the sand before coming to a stop. Their bodies were trembling. They didn't pass out but were in a lot of pain. They felt like they had been hit by a speeding vehicle. This scene shocked everyone who was watching. The young boy had dealt with 2 full-grown men with just a casual wave of his hand. Mages were really the upgraded version of humans. Emily was shocked as well, and she turned to look at her brother's face, her eyes glowing like a kid watching pretty stars. "Big brother is so powerful," she thought absent-mindedly. Alex noticed Emily's gaze and was inwardly pleased. The feeling of showing off in front of his junior sister was almost as thrilling as when he broke through for the first time. After enjoying the feeling of being idolized by his little sister for a bit, Alex returned his gaze to Laura and his expression turned cold again. He once again raised his hand and pointed at her. But before he could summon his stars this time, a powerful voice sounded from above. "Usage of magic is prohibited on the premises. Withdraw your mana or face the consequence." The voice was so loud that everyone in the theme park heard it. They all looked up and saw a man in a blue robe standing on the back of a huge bird. A glowing mark could be seen on the forehead of the bird. Alex's eyes flashed at the sight of the bird. A mage with the summoning element. The appearance of the mage stunned everyone. Alex checked and saw that this person was a core mage, just like him. As for the bird, it was only a common rank magic beast that had been summoned by the mage, and Alex believed that he would win if he was to fight this person. After all, a summoner's strength was their summons. But there's no need for that, he probably belongs to the Union. Alex said to himself before withdrawing his mana and lowering his hand. "Let's go, Emily," Alex voiced out before turning around. Emily nodded in surprise and quickly followed him. she would occasionally turn around and glance at the red-haired girl and her people. After Alex and his sister left, the mage who had stopped Alex controlled the bird to descend and he jumped off. He approached Laura to check her condition. Kids these days, causing trouble just because they can use some spells. He grumbled as he approached the red-haired girl on the ground. Stopping in front of her, he crunched and placed a hand on Laura's shoulder. "Are you all right, kid?" he asked casually, not really concerned about Laura's condition. Laura slowly raised her head to look at him, and the mage's eyes widened when he saw Laura's face. He recognized her. Thinking of the red-haired kid who had hurt Laura and her guards, he couldn't help but shake his head. "That kid, I hope he has a strong backing," he sighed softly. Chapter 27, New Week. Topic of gossip. Meanwhile, standing on top of a high building was an old man in simple clothes. This old man was the principal of Emily's school and had come out here to meet someone, who knew that he would encounter that Emily kid. What's more, that Emily's brother. The principal's eyes narrowed as he recalled everything that had happened. He had seen everything from the start. It was a coincidence that Alex returned before he could act. He was worried that the masked archmage would blame him if Emily was hurt outside the school as well. Was he supposed to be monitoring the kid every second? That's not the point right now. The principal shook his head. Emily's brother, I've seen that kid before. When did he become an adept mage? He's even stronger than Laura, who has been in the adept rank for over a year. Laura's father will definitely not overlook this matter. He'll definitely make trouble for Emily's brother and even target their parents. Am I supposed to look after the whole family now or just Emily? The principal mumbled to himself. He was very confused as to what to do. He was even considering running away so that the masked archmage who had visited his office the other day wouldn't find him. But, could he really hide from an archmage? The principal rubbed his face at this point. His mind was chaotic as he couldn't think of the next step. Why couldn't these kids just get along? He didn't even do anything wrong, but he was the one in a tight spot. "Old man, are you all right?" A voice sounded from beside the principal, startling him. He looked and saw that it was the person he was waiting for. "It's nothing, let's go." "I wonder why you wanted to meet here of all places." "Haha, I picked at random, though it would be safer for the people around if we met here." The other party laughed and walked away. The principal stared at his back and followed without saying anything. Next morning. It was the start of the week, and of course, Alex had to go to the academy. Although he would rather go outside the border instead. "Bye, Mom." Alex and Emily called out in unison as they walked out of their house and headed for their school and academy. Yesterday, Emily had ended up talking about what had happened at the theme park to their mother. She was too excited to keep quiet despite Alex asking her not to say anything. His mother had been shocked to hear that her son got into a fight with another mage who seemed to be his classmate, and they had used magic. She almost freaked out. Fighting with magic was dangerous. She was very concerned about her son since he had just become capable of using spells, but she was left speechless after Emily told her that Alex had defeated everyone with just a single spell. Later that evening, after they had dinner, Alex was invited to the living room by his parents for a chat. He could already tell what the chat was going to be about and was very unwilling to go, but he still went. Then, his parents spent almost 2 hours advising him. "I know you just started to use magic like others and must be excited, but that doesn't mean you should get into fights. You could get hurt in the process or hurt others," was what his mother had said. They talked so much and Alex found himself almost sleeping off, though he managed to survive through the chat before he was allowed to return to his room. He had spent the rest of the night reading and gained some EXP before morning. Back to the present. Alex just left Emily's school and was on his way to the academy. He took a glance at his system profile. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin level, 10 EXP for next level, 50/100, Error, Rank, High Stage, Core Mage rank elements, Space. Lightning special abilities, dual element body, the host can use 2 elements. Void walk. He had only 50 EXP points at the moment, including the 15 that were left after he leveled up the previous time. Sigh, I want to go explore so bad. Alex sighed as he walked, his silver-white cloak fluttering in the morning wind. Alex had thought about it and decided to stop working at the library. He possibly couldn't wait for the weekend just to go farm EXP outside the borders. Although the library had a lot of books that he could read to gain EXP, and he also got paid, he wouldn't be able to focus on reading since he would have to attend to others who wanted to read, and the pay was very little. Only 20 Zen every month. How outrageous, he could easily make more from selling a single beast corpse. What Alex was going to do after quitting his job at the library was explore. He would go out exploring every day after coming back from the academy. That way, he could gain more EXP while getting stronger. Alex finally arrived at the academy and headed straight for his first class. Unlike normal schools, the academy didn't hold morning assemblies for the students. The information would be passed out by teachers if needed. Alex's first class this morning was about magic beast habitat and behavior. The topic was treated by a bluey middle-aged man. The class lasted for 2 hours since there were a lot of things to cover. During the class, Alex noticed that the surrounding students were throwing him odd looks while whispering to each other. After the class ended, the teacher left and the class immediately became lively as the students began to gossip in loud voices, not minding that Alex was present. Did you know? That trash, Alex, fought against Goddess Laura yesterday. What? You must be joking, how can that even be possible? He's telling the truth, I saw it too. It happened at the theme park yesterday. Yes, I was there too and watched the fight. Alex defeated Goddess Laura's 2 guards with a single move. What? Isn't he trash? How can he use spells as an apprentice mage? Bro, look closely. The trash finally reached the adept rank. A lot of students turned to look at Alex at this moment. Due to the aura meter still set to adept rank, they all believed that he was in the adept rank. Vav, it's true. Good for him, he finally reached the adept rank after 4 years. How slow. It's still good. I thought he would be in the apprentice mage rank forever. It turns out he was a late bloomer. Still, that doesn't allow him to fight the goddess. He should be at the low stage of the adept rank. He isn't Goddess Laura's match. What you said is correct, they didn't actually fight. I saw the goddess suddenly vomit blood when she was about to blast him. I think he did something inappropriate to her. Trash will always be trash. He dared to use terrible methods since he can't win against the goddess. Brothers, we must teach him a lesson. Alex silently listened to the surrounding students gossip about what had happened yesterday, and they planned to avenge Laura by targeting him in the competition that was starting later this week. A grin formed on his face which no one noticed. You are all welcome to try me, I'm looking for a chance to avenge the previous Alex as well. Chapter 28, Quitting time went by slowly as one teacher after the other came to teach them different topics, but the gossip of the students didn't stop as they kept on talking about what had happened the previous day. Since there were many fourth-year students, all of them could not naturally fit in the same classroom. There were different classrooms for fourth-year students in the academy, so Alex didn't come across Laura until morning classes were finally over. After taking 4 different classes in the morning, the students were allowed to go out for a bit before preparing for more classes later. This was when Alex would usually take his post at the desk in front of the library and many students would come to collect passes. Also, there were different training rooms and meditation rooms in the academy for students to train or gather mana if they didn't want any distractions. Alex had never been to any of those since they had no use for him. Registration for the competition will last till Wednesday. I should just register today and get it over with, Alex mumbled to himself as he walked out of the classroom and entered the large hallway where other students were also walking. Alex's appearance immediately attracted the attention of many students and they began to look at him with strange eyes while whispering to each other. Alex simply glanced at this before walking away. Apparently, the whole academy already learned of what happened yesterday and were talking about it. Not like I care about being the subject of gossip, Alex thought to himself. This wasn't a new thing since it had been like this for the past 4 years. The only difference was that this time, he wasn't being ridiculed. After taking a few turns in the hallway, Alex arrived in front of a black door and knocked on it. "Come in," an aged female voice called out from behind the door and Alex pushed the door open before stepping in. Entering the room, he saw that it was a small office with tall bookshelves at the back and a large table with lots of files packed messily on top placed at the side. In the middle of the room, a woman who seemed to be around 50 to 60 years old sat on a simple chair with a small desk in front of her. The small desk was almost occupied by messy files, just like the table, with only the space for her hands to perform simple movements left. The woman raised her head, and her aged eyes landed on Alex. A look of surprise immediately flashed past her pupils before disappearing the next moment. She recognized Alex. Well, who wouldn't recognize him? He was some sort of celebrity in the academy, but his reputation wasn't something to be happy about. "Come over here, child," she beckoned for Alex to come closer. Alex nodded and walked in front of the desk, his hands hidden beneath his old cloak. "You want to register for the competition?" the woman asks, and Alex nodded. Although she had expected it, she was still stunned when Alex nodded. A hint of hesitation appeared on her face, and she looked like she was about to say something. She sighed in the end without saying anything and took out a file before writing Alex's name and class. "Take care of yourself, kid, you don't need to prove anything to anyone, so don't get hurt," she said after writing his information down. Alex smiled lightly. Unlike the others, this old woman was one of the few people in the academy who didn't discriminate against him for being trash. And guessing from her expression, he guessed that she wasn't aware of what had happened yesterday. Eoinvel.com. "Thanks for your concern, but I'll be fine," Alex said before silently releasing mana from his body. The eyes of the old woman widened when she sensed Alex's mama. "You finally broke through," she asked in astonishment, and Alex nodded with a smile. A look of relief flashed past her eyes at this moment and she said, "I see, your parents must be very happy. Good luck with the competition then." Alex thanked her again before walking out of the room. On his way out, he encountered a lot of students who also came to register for the competition. They all gave him odd stares without saying anything. Likewise, Alex didn't pay them any attention and just kept walking. This trash really came to register. Does he think he has a chance of winning against anyone? Even some third-year students are stronger than him. Maybe he thinks he's now our match after reaching the adept rank. The space element might be rare and powerful, but can he even connect his star pattern faster than us? I heard that his casting speed was very fast yesterday. What if he can? That might have been lucky. Even then, he's at most at the low stage, his magic can't be that strong. The students talked behind him, but Alex pretended not to hear. He looked forward to when the competition would start so that he could teach them a lesson. Walking back into the large hallway, Alex encountered a familiar figure. It was Laura. A grin immediately formed on Alex's face after seeing Laura, and he stopped walking for a moment. The latter also froze for a second after seeing Alex, her face twisted in rage at the sight of the grin on Alex's face. She wanted to slap that grin off his face so badly. "Humph. You might have gotten lucky yesterday, better pray not to meet me in the competition." Laura snorted as she brushed past Alex, her red robe and matching hair waving behind her. "Ah, I pray I meet you, I wasn't done yesterday," Alex said without looking back and resumed walking. Laura's legs paused when she heard Alex's words, and she turned around with an icy look on her face. Mana was rising from her body, and she was on the verge of throwing a spell at him but forced herself to calm down. She still remembered the words of her father after he found out what had happened yesterday. Someone who had been stuck in the apprentice mage rank for 4 years beat you up and even slapped your sister. How shameful. I'll give you a chance to redeem your dignity, don't make me do it myself. Laura gritted her teeth as she recalled her father's words. That was the first time he was talking to her in such a manner. Recalling Alex's boldness infuriated her the more. The trash who didn't even dare to cross gazes with her now talked back at her. Just wait, Alex, I'll make sure you can't use magic again in your life, Laura swore silently before walking away. Meanwhile, Alex had gone to the library. He arrived not long after and found a small crowd of students from different class years standing outside, waiting to be given passes into the library. Another tall figure could also be seen. It was Teacher Arnold. He's here. Someone shouted after spotting Alex, and everyone immediately turned their gazes in his direction. Having dozens of eyes stare at him, Alex remained unfazed and casually walked toward Teacher Arnold. The latter was glaring at him with burning eyes that clearly portrayed his anger. Looks like you no longer take the Academy's generosity seriously, you dare to slack off work. Teacher Arnold spat coldly with unfriendly eyes. Get to work immediately, and as punishment, you're no longer allowed free entry into the library for the next 3 weeks, and you won't get any payment for this month either. Teacher Arnold added. Alex's eyebrows raised. No more free entry? There is more reason why he should quit, since he could not even read any more to increase his EXP. There won't be any need for that, Alex voiced out. Teacher Arnold, who was already walking away, paused and looked back at him. What did you say? Do you think I'm joking? He asked with irritation in his voice. Alex shook his head slowly. No, of course not. That wasn't what I meant. What I meant was that I'm quitting, so those punishments won't be necessary. Immediately after saying that, Alex turned around and left, stunning Teacher Arnold and the surrounding students. A single word appeared in everyone's mind. How bold. Teacher Arnold remained stunned for a while before coming back to his senses. His eyes flashed with a viscous light as veins appeared around his neck and lower jaw. That brat, he squeezed through gritted teeth. After the incident at the library, words quickly spread and the whole academy soon got to know that Alex had stopped working at the library. This news became a new topic. All the students claimed that Alex was being ungrateful after finally breaking through. Time passed, and Alex was finally done with classes for the day. It was time to go home and head for the border. With nothing left to do, he immediately headed out but ran into someone outside the academy. His only friend, Nora. I figured I would meet you outside since you quit your work at the library. Good thing I arrived early. Nora smiled at Alex after seeing him, her chubby face glowing from the sunlight. Alex asked why she was waiting for him outside instead of being in class. Forget about classes, I have something to tell you as my only friend. My family is moving from Balon City, Nora said with a sigh. Chapter 29, Nora. Back outside the border, Nora's family was leaving the city. These words constantly rang in Alex's mind for some reason as he made his way toward the border. He was already in his Mr. Chen getup and was about to go explore. About Nora's family leaving. Alex had asked if there was a reason, but the chubby girl didn't know. She had been informed not long ago by her parents that they had to leave. She guessed that it might be because her father got a job in a different city, so they needed to relocate since they wanted their family to stay together. Alex thought that it was reasonable, but what he found unreasonable was when Nora asked him if he wanted to come with her. Friboval.cm run away with you and your family. Are you crazy? Why would I do that? Alex had asked in surprise at the girl's suggestion. Ish, don't say it like that. You know you're my only friend here, and I'm your only friend as well. Who will keep you company if I leave? You'll be all by yourself with no one to spend time with. That's why I asked you to come with me. You can bring your family along, too. I will convince my dad to help them settle down in the new city. Nora had explained earnestly with hopeful eyes that she really wanted Alex to come with her. Alex shook his head as he remembered their conversation. In the end, he had turned down her offer. He couldn't simply get his family to move just because he wanted to follow Nora, that would be a sick joke. Pushing the thoughts of Nora aside, Alex set his mind on his exploration. He had left the academy not long ago, and it was already in the middle of the afternoon with the sun blazing on a corner of the sky above Balan City. He had limited time to hunt for magic beasts. He had to be quick if he wanted to make this trip worthwhile. Alex didn't go to the Union building this time before heading out to explore, as there was no need for that. He would only go there when he needed to sell beast corpses and monocores or if he wanted to buy something. Reaching the border, Alex found lots of Union officers with weapons guarding as usual. However, Alex noticed something strange. There were more officers here than the last time he came. There were almost 20 people. None of them were mages, though, they were all ordinary people. Alex didn't think much of this and quietly approached them. The officers immediately spotted him after he got close, and like the previous time, they called out for him to stop. Since he had already experienced this before, Alex silently took out his explorer card and showed it to one of the officers, who then proceeded to inform his colleagues, and they made way for Alex. "Pardon me, Mr. Explorer. But even though you're a mage, I advise you to be careful while exploring. I think something has happened outside the border." One of the elders of the Union branch and a sub-elder had taken teams of Union explorers to go check outside the borders. That's also the reason why the number of officers here has doubled. The officers said seriously. Alex paused for a moment and nodded at the man while grunting before continuing to walk. He passed through the border and arrived at the familiar empty space outside with the forest in the distance. Alex immediately dashed forward without wasting time. He used his full speed as a mage at the core rank and was like a black shadow as he sped through the empty land that separated the border and the forest. Last time, it had taken Alex a few minutes to cross this place, but now that he was moving at top speed, Alex reached the forest in just 1 minute and some seconds. Satisfied with his speed, Alex didn't stop after he reached the forest. He stomped on the ground hard and launched himself into the air. Boom! The sound of a small explosion sounded as Alex shot off the ground and landed on a gigantic tree branch. He then jumped to another and repeated the action, moving deeper into the forest. Despite how fast he was moving, Alex's robe didn't flutter in the slightest. The indestructible robe shielded the wind while remaining perfectly straight. Not long after Alex entered the forest, he came across some people in black uniforms. They numbered up to 7, and it looked like they were waiting for someone there. Alex realized that they must be the Union explorers that the officer at the border had talked about. He had seen people in similar uniforms at the Union building before. After observing them closely, Alex realized that most of them were in the adept mage rank while a few were in the core rank. Their strength is not very high, Alex mumbled to himself, forgetting how difficult it had been for the previous Alex to improve his rank. Some people took years just to break through from the adept rank to the core rank, and it was even more difficult when wanting to reach the expert rank. Entering the rank above the expert rank only meant that the person was very talented, as many people spent their entire lives in the expert range while some would stop at the master rank. Going higher than the master rank would require one to be very talented, and a large number of resources would have to be spent. Only the first 2 ranks of the mage power system were relatively easy to cross. To put it shortly, talent and resources were required to make even the slightest breakthrough once one reached the adept mage rank. After observing for some time, Alex didn't bother with them and kept moving. Since he was high up in the trees, they didn't notice him. Coupled with the indestructible robe that didn't produce any sounds, it would be very hard for anyone to spot him unless he wanted to be discovered or the other party had very sharp senses. As Alex moved deeper into the forest, he came across more and more groups of Union explorers with their average strength still being around the adept and core rank. However, this made Alex frown. He wondered what could have happened that would make the Union send so many mages here. He had just a few hours to farm EXP, but the presence of these people was going to be a problem. Additionally, he had not seen a single magic beast since he entered the forest, and the reason was pretty obvious. Now annoyed, Alex kept moving deeper into the forest. After moving at high speed for several minutes, he finally stopped seeing the Union explorers. This made him sigh in relief. Looks like they didn't come this deep. He was already starting to worry that he was going too deep into the forest and might encounter powerful magic beasts. Finally, after some time, Alex came across a magic beast. His eyes lit up as he stopped on top of a rather thin tree branch and gazed down at the beast. The beast had the appearance of a deer with a single large horn poking out from the center of its head. "It's a sonic deer!" Alex gasped in surprise. Chapter 30, Farming EXP. People from the Union. He couldn't be blamed for being shocked at the sight of the beast. The sonic deer was a special magic beast that was different from other magic beasts despite being weak. The difference was that they could already use special abilities despite being only common rank beasts. This made them incredibly difficult to get hunted down by explorers. Other magic beasts had to wait till they reached at least the transformed beast rank before they could mobilize the mana in their cores and use special abilities. Some even needed to get stronger, reaching the divine rank first. But the sonic deer was different. Right from the common beast rank, they could already use special abilities. The horn on its head was how it used its special abilities. Like the name implies, the sonic deer could pick up sonic waves from a certain distance around them. This made them difficult targets to sneak up on. Another use of their horn was that they could release sonic wave attacks, causing their targets to experience pain and ringing in their ears. If the person wasn't strong enough, they might even bleed from their ears and suffer heavy injuries. And as the sonic deer gets stronger, their ability becomes more powerful as well, and its range would increase greatly. Good thing that this one is still in the common rank, so the range of the detection is still small. It would have discovered me before I ever saw it. Alex mumbled to himself. The next moment, his eyes turned purple behind his mask as purple stars appeared behind him and formed two star patterns. Lightning strike, BRRTZZ. With a low sound, a thin thread of purple lightning shot out from the two star patterns before zigzagging toward the sonic deer. The beast was peacefully munching on something on the ground when it suddenly sensed something as its horn released a buzzing sound. It raised its head and looked around but didn't see anything. Still, its beastly instincts told it to run, which it tried to do, but it was too late because, in the next instance, a fast thread of purple lightning struck its body. The deer let out a loud shriek as the part of its body where the lightning had struck exploded into a bloody mess. The remnants of the lightning rushed into its body and wreaked havoc inside it, scorching its inside and drying up all of its blood. After a few seconds of violent trembling, the beast fell down. It was dead. Its body was letting out thick smoke and a heavy scent of cooked meat. Mission complete, 10 EXP. A notification appeared in front of Alex as he jumped down. He approached the corpse of the beast and cast a space pocket to store it before immediately leaving the place. Time was short, so he had to move fast before night came. Almost an hour after Alex left the place, two figures appeared at the place where he had killed the sonic deer, a man and a woman. They were Marco and Sylvia, the elder and sub-elder who had been tasked by branch leader Clint to check the area. Someone was here. The pressure of the lightning element can still be felt in the air. Silver said in a low tone as she stared at the scorched spot on the ground. Marco looked around with a serious face before saying, to be able to pass all of the mages that were stationed along the way, this person definitely isn't a newbie. Could he be the Mr. Chen that Elder Owen talked about? Very likely. Let's keep looking. I can sense mana fluctuating in front. Silver said thoughtfully. Marco didn't argue with her. After all, she was stronger than him, so her senses were naturally higher. Both of them moved further into the forest in the direction that Alex had gone in with great speed that was even faster than Alex's. Freeobnovel.com hours later. Mission complete, 10 EXP. Daily mission complete, kill magic beasts 11 halves. Weekly mission complete, kill magic beasts 11 fifths. Reward, 20 EXP. Alex looked at the notification in front of him while approaching the corpse of the beast that he had just killed. It was a plant-type magic beast with a body that was similar to a tree and had several long twigs as limbs. He called out his system profile. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin level, 10 EXP for next level, 180/100, Error, Rank, High Stage, Core Mage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Alex had gotten 110 EXP points from killing 11 magic beasts, adding to the 20 points from completing the weekly mission twice and the 50 points that he had previously. He now had a total of 180 points. He was 20 points short of reaching the Expert Mage rank. The Expert Mage rank was the level of strength for most of the top mages in the entire Balan city. People who were stronger than this rank could be counted on both hands. Sadly, I can't continue killing. It's already getting late and I have to return before they start to worry. Alex sighed helplessly. By they, he was referring to his parents. After all, they didn't know that he was killing beasts outside the border whenever he left him. His parents would definitely freak out if they knew that he was out here alone. While thinking, Alex approached the beast's corpse and was about to cast a space pocket when a notification suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Scanning energy detected, blocked by the all-knowing mask. Alex's body froze and his eyes widened behind his mask. Scanning energy. Someone was probing him. Where? Alex didn't dare use his space element after discovering that someone was spying on him, and he quietly turned around. Because of his mask covering his face and the indestructible robe, he looked very calm and composed. No one would be able to tell that he had almost panicked just now. Come out, don't make me force you, Alex said loudly in a hoarse voice. After his voice sounded, everywhere was quiet for a brief moment before 2 people walked out from behind a large tree and approached him. Alex saw that it was a beautiful middle-aged woman and a man with a thick beard. Both had cautious looks on their faces. These 2 were obviously Sylvia and Marco. They had finally found Alex after hours of following his trail. Sylvia was even more cautious, and she had a strange look in her eyes as she stared at the plain white mask. A thought appeared in their minds after they first spotted Alex. That's him, the Mr. Chen that they had been informed about. Another reason why Sylvia was shocked was because she was the one who had tried to scan this Mr. Chen earlier. She wanted to know his rank. But she was shocked after she couldn't sense anything and the other party even discovered them. Most people might not know, but she was a master rank mage. She was one of the strongest people in the whole of Balan city. What did this mean? It meant that this Mr. Chen was stronger than the master mage rank. She could not help but become very cautious at this thought. What is the meaning of this? Alex asked in a deep tone, his voice still hoarse. Chapter 31, Encountering a mutated rank magic beast. We mean no harm, we're members of the Balan City Union branch and are just on patrol. I'm Sylvia and this is my partner, Sub-Elder Marco. Sylvia stepped forward and said respectfully. She couldn't tell the rank of the other party and could only make guesses. Whatever his rank might be, it was best not to provoke him. Is that so? Alex asked, his eyes narrowing behind his mask. He felt that these 2 people had looked for him on purpose. Moreover, he couldn't see through their ranks. They were stronger than expert rank mages. Yes, please pardon my improper action just now. I was just curious and sincerely apologize. Sylvia continued, feeling that the other party didn't believe her. Then leave if there's nothing else. I'm busy. Alex said before turning back. He was trying to get these 2 to leave as soon as possible if there was really nothing serious. He couldn't keep this beast corpse in his space pocket in front of them. Since they were from the Union, they must already know about him and his element. Using a different element in front of them might cause problems unless Alex was willing to silence them forever to protect his secret. "We'll leave soon, but sorry to ask, are you perhaps Mr. Chen?" Sylvia asked in response to Alex asking them to leave. Although they had already guessed it since this person's appearance matched Owen's description, she still wanted to confirm. Alex paused again as he thought. As expected, they already know about me, so it would be impossible to use the space element in front of them. Alex was already contemplating if he should get a storage device just in case. After all, he won't always be alone and can't use his space element in front of others. He would need something to store his gains when exploring. "Yes, I'm Mr. Chen. Is there a problem?" Alex replied after swimming in his thoughts for a moment. The expression on Sylvia's and Marco's faces shifted slightly before returning to normal. "There's no problem at all, it's just that our union is interested in Mr. Chen and would love to invite you," Sylvia stated. "Owen already told me the same thing, but my answer is still no. I work alone and won't join the union," Alex replied without hesitation. Of course. We already know about that. What I meant was that our branch leader wants to have a word with Mr. Chen. I believe it won't be a waste of your time," Sylvia said as she glanced at the corpse of the magic beast behind Mr. Chen. She thought that Mr. Chen must be looking for money, which is why a powerful mage like him would bother killing weak beasts at the common rank. He would definitely not be dissatisfied if the branch leader offered a good reward for his service. Alex fell silent for a while. The branch leader wants to have a word with him. What for? Better to decline, but these people would probably refuse to leave even if he refused, so Alex thought of an idea. "All right, I'll go when I'm less busy. But as you can see, I'm busy at the moment," Alex said meaningfully. He wasn't really interested in anything that these people had to say since they were just going to try convincing him more to join them. He just wanted to kill beasts and gain EXP. Sylvia's eyes lit up when she heard this and Marco's face brightened slightly. "It's no problem, we can wait." Alex was left speechless when he heard her response. Were they really planning to drag him to the Union building today? Seeing that they had no intentions of leaving, Alex gave up on trying to send them away. He felt that he would expose himself if he kept talking. Better to leave them if they didn't want to leave him. Void walk. Alex activated the system skill in his mind. He had realized some time ago that most of the things related to the system could only be seen by him. Skills were one of them, so he wasn't worried that these two would see anything. After activating the skill, Alex's point of view shifted and changed to a bird-like view as if he was staring down on the forest from above. The range that he could see now had increased since he wasn't an apprentice rank mage anymore. Alex immediately picked the space farthest away from his current position. "Here," he said in his thoughts. The next moment, a fierce wind suddenly started to blow around them, startling Marco and Sylvia. Alex was already familiar with this process, so he remained calm. While the two were frantically trying to understand the source of the wind, a crack appeared in space behind Alex, which led to a plain white space. From the expression of the two in front of him, Alex confirmed that they really could not see the crack. Without hesitation, Alex grabbed the beast and walked toward the crack. However, from Sylvia's and Marco's perspective, Mr. Chen suddenly grabbed the beast's corpse on the ground and began to walk away. It wasn't until he suddenly disappeared from their sight and the fierce wind stopped blowing that they realized what had happened. Did he just disappear?" Marco asked in a shocked tone. Sylvia was equally shocked as well. They didn't sense any mana or see Mr. Chen use any spell, so how did he disappear right in front of them? Could it be a magic item? Sylvia, but even she was unsure of her suggestion. "We have to quickly go back and report this," Marco urged, and Sylvia nodded in agreement. They immediately left to gather their teams so that they could return. Meanwhile, Alex dragged the beast through the white space before coming out of the other crack that had brought him deeper into the forest. After coming out, he immediately cast the space pocket and stored the corpse of the beast. I really should get a storage device, Alex sighed after storing his loot and was about to step into the crack when a shadow suddenly lunged at him from the side. What the? Alex's words were cut short as something crashed into him. No, he was slapped away by a large palm. Bam! Alex's body flew like a kite and crashed into a tree that was in the distance. The tree immediately bent out of shape due to the impact of Alex crashing into it. Garh! Alex let out a pained sound and he felt like he was about to throw up as his body spun rapidly in the air. Alex slid off the tree and landed on his feet. I'm not hurt at all. Alex exclaimed inwardly after discovering that he wasn't feeling even the slightest bit of pain. Of course, the indestructible robe could block an attack from a sage and a sage's attack could bring a city to its knees. The attack that had sent him flying was nothing. Freeobnovel.com. His earlier reaction had been subconscious. He felt slightly embarrassed at how he had screamed. Good thing no one saw that, Alex mumbled before turning his attention to what had sent him flying. His eyes narrowed behind his mask as his gaze landed on a hairy beast in the distance. It was a mutated rank beast. Chapter 32, Fight with a Bear. I'll be using Void Gate for the Void Walk skill from now on so it doesn't get mistaken for a normal crack. Standing in front of the Void Gate was a tall bear beast that was at least 7 meters tall and had brown fur covering its body. Its eyes were blood red and glowing slightly, and its 2 large paws that were as big as a frying pan had 10 long metal-like claws that gleamed with a cold light. The beast stood on both legs as its red eyes gazed at Alex with strong killing intent. Its mouth opened and revealed long, sharp teeth as it growled. What shocked Alex more about this beast was that he could not recognize it. The previous Alex was a bookworm and had read countless books through his 4 years in the academy, but this beast couldn't be found in his memory. Well, I did go too far into the forest with the Void Gate. A beast like this shouldn't be found around Balan city borders, Alex said to himself. He blamed those two, Sylvia and Marco, for this. They made him go this deep into the forest. But that was going to be a thought for later. What was more important right now was to get to the Void Gate behind the beast. It was already getting very late, and darkness was slowly enveloping the forest. This was why Alex abandoned the thought of trying to fight the beast. He had to return as soon as possible. However, the bear suddenly moved at this moment. Swoosh! The sound of sharp wind sounded as it disappeared from Alex's sight. His eyes widened behind his mask. So fast. He didn't think twice before lowering his body and rolling to the side. The next moment, the bear appeared in front of where Alex was previously with one of its large paws swiping down. Bam! A shuddering sound rang out as the bear's paw slammed into the huge tree that was over 2 meters thick, leaving 4 large claw marks that almost cut the huge tree in half while splinters flew into the air. Alex, who had already rolled away, stopped to take a look, and he was shocked by the sight behind him. Good thing that he had acted quickly. Although the indestructible robe could block that hit, Alex didn't want to come in contact with it. The bear let out a low growl after missing its target, and it turned its head to the side. Its red eyes, which were now glowing because of the darkness, locked on Alex's figure. Coming back to his senses, Alex quickly stood up and bolted in the direction of the Void Gate as fast as he could. He was like a black shadow as he sped toward it, but the bear was even faster. Before Alex could reach the Void Gate, the huge body of the bear appeared in front of him like a ghost and its paws struck at lightning speed. Bang! Both paws struck Alex on the chest and sent him flying back like a broken kite. His vision spun rapidly and made him feel dizzy. This time, Alex didn't stop just after slamming into one tree. He directly broke one tree in half with his body and only came to a stop when he hit the second tree. Alex placed a palm on the tree that had bent after he crashed into it. As he stood up, he would have passed through this tree, too, if it wasn't thick enough. Freeobnovel.com. Checking his body, Alex confirmed that he wasn't injured and couldn't feel any pain. The indestructible robe was really worthy of its name. His gaze rose and focused on the bear. He realized that leaving wasn't going to be as easy as he had imagined. This beast was no joke. Calm down, Alex, it can't hurt you, it's only a mutated rank beast. Alex gave himself some motivation. Since this bear wanted to fight, he would give it a fight. Or escape if he had the chance. What Alex didn't know was that this bear was a mutated rank beast that was on the verge of entering the transformed beast rank and was already more powerful than some beasts at the transformed rank. What were transformed rank magic beasts? They were beasts that even master rank mages didn't dare to take up alone. It had taken the combined effort of branch leader Clint, an elder, and 2 sub-elders just to kill one. 2 master rank mages and 2 expert rank mages. Roar. The bear roared before disappearing from Alex's sight again. Its speed was so fast that Alex couldn't keep up, but he didn't panic. The speed of the beast wasn't the only fast thing. His eyes glowed with the light of the space element, and he always stretched out both of his hands with his fingers spread open. At the same time, 10 silver-white stars that lit up the dark forest appeared behind him and instantly formed 2 star patterns. Space wall. Alex yelled, and the space in front of him suddenly twisted before returning to normal the next moment, signaling that the spell had taken effect. All of this had taken just a bit over 1 second to complete. The next instance after Alex cast the space wall, the towering figure of the bear appeared in front of him with one of its large paws swinging down at him. But instead of meeting Alex, it slammed into his space wall with a loud bang. The ground shook, and Alex felt the shockwave of the hit. What followed was the sound of shattering glass as the space wall crumbled under the might of the bear. It had destroyed Alex's space wall with a single hit. Despite this, Alex still remained calm. The space wall had done what it was meant to do, which was to buy him some time for his next spell. Alex pointed one of his fingers at the face of the bear after his space wall was destroyed, and the beast left puzzled. 10 silver-white stars appeared again and formed 2 star patterns. Space bullets. Alex roared and the whistling sounds of the space bullets cutting through the air sounded before crashing into the bear's face. Bam! 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 The space bullets were already invisible and incredibly fast to begin with, at such a close distance that the beast couldn't react. All space bullets accurately crashed into its face and 2 of the space bullets had reached one of its eyes, destroying it in the process. Blood gushed out like a fountain, and the bear let out a loud roar that spread through the forest. The destroyed eye had turned into a dark, bloody hole on its face, and it was left with one glowing eye which seemed to suddenly glow brighter than before. Obviously, Alex wasn't going to wait for the beast to recover from its pain. Seizing the opportunity he had created, Alex immediately summoned the stars of the lightning element and cast lightning charge. His whole body was soon covered in purple lightning that lit up the dark forest and he immediately ran toward the void gate in the distance. The bear had sent him flying quite far away, so the gap between them and the void gate had almost reached 100 meters. But that wasn't a problem for Alex. Lightning charge increased his speed greatly and allowed him to move as fast as lightning. Zap! Alex looked like he had teleported as he appeared in front of the void gate in a burst of purple lightning. He turned to look at the single glowing red eyes of the beast in the distance. The forest was now very dark, so he could only see the bear's eyes. "This isn't over, I'll be back for a rematch," Alex shouted before jumping into the void gate the next instant. Chapter 33, Explanation. Alex arrived at the other end of the void gate after running through the white space. The gate closed immediately after he came out. He was back at the place where he had left Sylvia and Marco earlier. The two had long left, and the place was very quiet as not even the sounds of bugs could be heard. Alex placed his hands on his knees as he gasped for air. The clash with the bear just now had made him realize some things. He was being too confident. He should have left the forest with the void walk instead of going deeper into the forest. his interactions with different people these past few days had made him underestimate the dangers in this world. He wasn't strong enough and might very much lose his life if he wasn't careful. Luckily, he had the indestructible robe this time, and he wasn't hurt, but that didn't stop him from getting nauseous. But what if the next time he ran into an enemy and the other party had already surpassed the protection level of the robe? Wouldn't his life be in danger? He never knows what he might run into, just like he didn't expect to run into this bear. He almost found himself becoming those overconfident characters he had read about in his previous life who felt that they were untouchable just because they gained a few powerful items. Alex came to a decision: he would stop relying on the protection of his items too much from now on and only engage enemies that he was sure of beating with his own strength. After catching his breath, Alex used the Void Walk once again and created the second gate close to the city border. The skill covered a very large area and was faster than his speed when running. Arriving just a few tens of meters away from the border, Alex ended the skill and closed the Void Gate since he wasn't planning to return. He approached the border and found some officers still guarding it. He showed his explorer card before they could even question him and went past them. Alex reached home sometime later and had returned to his usual appearance. He had returned the all-knowing mask and indestructible robe back to the system. "Sorry I'm late," Alex announced as he pushed the door open and entered the living room. His body froze right at the door as his eyes landed on the figures of his parents sitting in the living room with different expressions. His mother had a worried look on her face while his father was staring at the empty space in front of him with a serious gaze. Their heads turned in sync and stared at Alex after he entered the house, and their expressions took drastic turns. His mother's face turned into one of relief, with her eyes suddenly clouded with hot tears that rushed down her face. The next second, she got up quickly and dashed toward Alex, hugging him tightly as she sobbed. "Why, you finally came back. I was so worried that something might have happened to you. We were about to go lay a complaint at the union," she managed to say through her sobbing. Alex gave a sorry smile as he looked at her. He really had to reconsider his future actions. There were people who cared about him, so he shouldn't make them worry for no reason. Lifting his gaze to look at his father, Alex saw that the man was still as serious as before, but a hint of relief could be seen in his eyes. "What's the time, young man?" his father suddenly asked. Alex was slightly stumped by the question, but he still moved his head toward the wall clock hanging on the side. He saw that it was already past 10. Not waiting for Alex to reply, his father added, "You have some explaining to do, young man." Alex smiled in response. He had expected at least this much. Later that night, Alex was invited to the living room by his parents to explain where he had been all evening. They had barely managed to put Emily to sleep after she didn't see her brother during dinner and had gotten worried. They had convinced her that Alex was with a family friend and was all right. The girl had wanted to stay up till her brother returned. Hearing this, Alex couldn't help but feel warm inside, but that thought had to be kept for later. Right now, he had to make up something to face his parents. He dared not say he was outside the border this whole time. Even if he revealed his true strength, they might get scared instead that he had done something inappropriate to get stronger. As for revealing his system, it was common sense to never tell another existence about one's golden finger. This was the unwritten rule. Left without a choice, Alex had brought up Nora's family moving away from Balan City as an excuse. He said that his only friend, who had been nice to him since his first year in the Draconic Academy, was leaving the city with her family, and she wanted to spend some time with her only friend as a form of saying goodbye. Alex's mother was touched when she heard this. They had naturally heard about Nora from Alex, the previous Alex, and knew how close the two were since they had bad reputations in the school. The trash and food truck duo. Alex's mother had even met Nora once and could tell that she was a nice kid. After listening to Alex's explanation, his parents actually believed him. In the end, they didn't blame him and were even glad that he agreed to accompany Nora one last time. But that didn't mean they didn't scold him for staying out too late. it was dangerous around this part of Balan City, after all. We'll have to get you a communicator, you're old enough now. His mother had said and his father agreed to it. Alex had tried to persuade them not to since he could get one himself, but they didn't listen and sent him to go sleep. Unable to argue with them, Alex had gone to his room. Alex summoned his system profile after reaching his room. He had 180 EXP points and could level up once. Thinking about the bear from earlier, Alex didn't hesitate to use 100 EXP points to level up. Ding, system level up. LV10, LV11 high stage, peak stage, core mage rank. He felt his strength increasing once more, his soul C expanded slightly and his mana increased. Alex checked his system profile after leveling up once. Almighty Path System, error, host, Alex Zoran level, 11 EXP for next level, 80/100, error, rank, peak stage, core mage rank elements, space. Lightning special abilities, dual element body, the host can use 2 elements. Void walk. Seeing that his EXP was only 20 EXP short of reaching the next rank, Alex didn't see any reason to sleep. His eyes turned and landed on the piles of books in the corner of the room, his eyes glowed with a strong light. Sometime later, notifications began to appear in front of Alex's eyes. Mission complete, 5 EXP. Mission complete. Chapter 34, Reaching the Expert Mage rank. The next morning, Alex closed the book in front of him as he stared at the notifications in front of him. He had stayed up through the night and had read 13 books, giving him a total of 65 EXP plus an additional 10 from completing a weekly mission. He now had a total of 155 EXP. Alex didn't hesitate and immediately used 100 EXP to level up his system. Ding. System level up, level 11, level 12. Core stage, low stage, expert rank. Almighty Path System, error, host, Alex Zoran level, 12 EXP for next level, 55/100, error, rank, low stage, expert mage rank elements, space. Lightning special abilities, dual element body, the host can use 2 elements. Void walk, the host can move through the void between 2 fixed locations, cannot change directions midway, distance depends on the strength of the host. Aura master, the host can mask his rank and show a fake rank must be lower than true rank. Craftsman, the host can use EXP points to create spells related to his elements. The amount of EXP used in crafting will be determined by the system based on the strength of the spell crafted. Special items, all-knowing mask, the host has master level appraisal knowledge, and can conceal himself from the prying of others. Pendant of deterrence, the host can release the aura of a powerful mage from the pendant, the aura from the pendant will be 2 ranks higher than the target of the host. Indestructible robe, a robe that can block a strike of anyone below the sage stage. Boom. Alex felt the mana inside his body surge, the feeling was stronger than when he broke through the sub-stages. After all, he had made a major breakthrough this time and had reached the expert mage rank, which many mages found difficult to reach. This was the strength level of many of the teachers at the academy. His soul C expanded rapidly and almost tripled in size, now he could cast more spells than before without bothering about mana shortage. Happy with his improvement, Alex got off his bed and went to prepare for the day. Sometime later, he left their house with Emily. The girl was excited about the competition that was going to be held in the academy and asked if she could come watch. Alex had to remind her that it wasn't a major competition and she needed to wait for the All-Academy Star Tournament to see his performance. They chatted along the way till they reached Emily's school and Alex left for the academy alone. Time passed slowly as classes were treated one after the other. Not much change had happened since yesterday and the students were still talking about Alex's fight with Laura at the theme park, as well as the forthcoming competition. The only difference that Alex felt was the absence of his fat friend, Nora. Her family must have left already, Alex mumbled to himself while heading for his next class and ignoring the gazes of the students around him. While Alex went through school hours, in a room located on one of the top floors of the Union building, branch leader Clint, the 2 elders and the 3 sub-elders of the Ballon City Union branch sat around a long executive table in silence. Yesterday, Sylvia and Marco had rushed back around the evening and had reported their encounter with the masked Mr. Chen. They had told everyone everything that had happened, including Sylvia trying to scan his strength and Mr. Chen's strange disappearance. The others had found this hard to believe before Sylvia and Marco had claimed that they didn't see Mr. Chen using any spells, nor did they feel an mana shift when he vanished. Besides, according to their findings, they were certain that Mr. Chen was a lightning mage and the lightning element didn't have any teleportation spells. Some had also suggested that it might have been a magic item, but the suggestion was also dismissed because Sylvia and Marco didn't see Mr. Chen active anything. The main point was that he didn't use mana. Spells and even magic items needed mana to function. They would have definitely felt it if Mr. Chen had used mana. Besides, the lightning element was an overbearing element and impossible to not notice. In the end, branch leader Clint had come up with the only plausible explanation. Mr. Chen's rank might be so high that even both of you could not keep up with the movements of his physical body. It was general knowledge that as a mage grew stronger, not only would their mana and soul C grow as well, but their physical bodies would also undergo changes. Then could he be an archmage? There are only so many archmages in the world, and all of them are reputable figures. Plus, even an archmage wouldn't have been so fast. Sylvia argued. What if he's stronger than an archmage? What if he's an old monster who has been living outside the scope of the Union before now? The world is big and we never know what to expect. Sub-Elder Lance voiced from the side while adjusting his glasses. As a master appraisal, he specialized in knowledge gathering and encountered items that used to belong to historical figures who everyone thought were long dead. Ruins and habitats of long-forgotten powerful mages were no strange findings in the wild. Everyone fell silent at Lance's words as they fell into thoughts. Owen, what's your opinion on this Mr. Chen? Branch leader Clint asked. He was currently wearing a black leather jacket with black glasses that made it difficult to see his eyes. Owen thought for a bit before saying that he had a good impression of Mr. Chen. The other party had a calm temperament and barely spoke and was easy to make agreements with. Sylvia and Marco agreed to this. They also felt the same about Mr. Chen. Especially Sylvia after finding out that Mr. Chen might very well be a mage that was above the archmage rank. Many high-level mages would have been offended at her act of probing them and definitely wouldn't have let her off as easily as Mr. Chen did. I see. Still, we have to report this to the Union Core Center. Recall all the Union explorers from outside the border. Mr. Chen might find it annoying. We don't know why he keeps hunting low-rank magic beasts, but we shouldn't get in his way since he's not harming anyone. Owen, be sure to personally handle everything related to him whenever he comes here and remain on friendly terms. The others shouldn't get involved and don't give him the feeling that anything is going on. I'll make a trip to the Union Core Center and report the matter. I trust all of you to complete your tasks while I'm away. Mr. Chen might have been displeased by Sylvia's action yesterday, which is why he hasn't appeared up till now, so try to explain things when he comes. Branch leader Clint voiced out before standing up. Understood. Owen and the others answered in unison. Branch leader Clint nodded at their response before walking out of the room. Chapter 35, Space Cut. Unaware of what the top members of the Ballon City Union branch were thinking, Alex finished his classes at the academy and quickly left to get Emily from her school before heading home. Getting home, he learned that his father was still at work, which was very normal. He washed up and got ready to leave, but not after his mother seriously reminded him not to spend too long outside again. Yes, I promise, Alex said with a small laugh while rubbing his head. Exiting through the door, Alex immediately left the outskirts of Ballon City and approached the busy area, where he got a ride to a place near the border. He hadn't touched the money he made from selling the beast corpses, mana cores, and void rock yet. He was still spending his savings from working at the library in the academy and other part-time jobs. Finding a quiet place, Alex took out his outfit from the system and they automatically appeared on his body and face. He was ready to set out. Alex approached the officers guarding at the border. A familiar voice called out to him as he got closer. Turned out it was the officer who Alex had seen the first time he went outside the border. I guess they work in shifts and today is his turn to guard again. Alex thought inwardly. It's good to see you again, Mr. Chen. You're leaving to explore quite late today. The officer said with a wide smile. Alex nodded without saying anything. The conversation ended with his lack of response. The officer wasn't offended and made way for Alex to pass. Another thing that Alex noticed was that the number of officers guarding the border today was fewer than the previous day when he came. Did they withdraw? Alex wondered in his thoughts as he headed toward the forest in the distance. He planned to hunt in another area today since the members of the Union had been around where he used to hunt, but because he was curious as to what was going on with the decrease in the number of officers, Alex decided to check. To his surprise, even after moving for 200 meters into the forest, Alex didn't encounter a single person. They really left, but why? Was it because of me? Alex wondered, wanting to rub his chin, but his fingers touched the smooth surface of the all-knowing mask instead. He recalled his encounter with Sylvia and Marco, the elder and sub-elder of the Union branch, and guessed that it might be because of them. After all, an officer from yesterday had told him that the Union explorers who were all over the place were teams under those two. Freeobnovel.com. They must have recalled their teams after thinking that I was stronger than them and didn't want to offend me. Alex came to a conclusion and was pleased about it. Now he could hunt and farm EXP freely without worrying about anyone spying on him. Honestly, he had been startled yesterday after receiving the notification from the system that someone was trying to probe him. If not for the system, he would not have noticed the two, and they might have caught him using two elements. Alex didn't want to imagine what would happen if they learned of his secret, since he was the first in the history of mages to have two elements. Those powerful oldies might come for him and carry out inhuman experiments to find his secret. After all, that's how it usually is in the manga when the characters reveal their golden fingers. As for now, he wasn't strong enough to reveal his second element, and he might never even need to. After wallowing in thoughts for a bit, Alex immediately got to work. He wanted to test his strength now that he had reached the expert mage rank, and the image of a certain bear appeared in his mind. A red eye that seemed to stare into his soul flashed in his mind, and Alex couldn't help but shudder. No, let's farm and get stronger first before visiting that one. Alex clicked his tongue before dashing forward. Not long after, Alex came across a magic beast. It was a huge beast with the body of a bull and the head of a cat. It was as massive as a small truck. Let's test the strength of an expert level spell. Alex smiled behind his mask as a burst of silver white light shone in his eyes and stars began to appear behind him the next moment. There were over 24 of them. At the expert mage rank, a mage could create a constellation to use spells. A constellation was made up of 5 star patterns. The stars quickly formed into star patterns before forming a large silver-white constellation behind Alex. The strong pressure and powerful aura from the constellation were too hard to ignore. The beast on the ground immediately noticed him and moved its huge body in an attempt to attack, but Alex had already finished preparing his spell. He used the only spell that was available for the space element at the expert mage rank. Space cut. Alex whispered. Immediately, the space around the beast began to change as visible cracks formed in the air, forming a large ring that looked like it was made of broken mirrors around the beast. The beast charged forward, but its head slammed into an invisible barrier just when it reached where the crack was. It tried again but could not go out of the ring of cracks no matter how hard it tried. Alex was also curious as to what the spell would do and silently watched. In the next second, more and more cracks began to form around the beast. Whoom. A sound akin to whispering wind sounded, and the space where the ring of cracks had covered disappeared, along with the huge beast, of course. Mission complete, 10 EXP. Alex. Alex looked at the spot where the beast had been just a while ago. Nothing was left, not even a drop of blood or a piece of its flesh. It had completely disappeared out of existence. This spell was too strong. Alex could not help but exclaim inwardly, but a sudden realization hit him the next moment. The entire beast disappeared, then, his beast corpse and monocore were gone as well. Better not to use the spell casually, Alex came to a decision on the spot. He had to prevent using Space Cut if he didn't want to keep losing his trophies, which were obviously the corpse and monocore of the beast he killed. Still, this didn't stop him from marveling over how powerful the space element was. No wonder it was rare to awaken amongst the elements. Next was to test out the space element. Alex immediately set out for his next target. Alex already knew the spell for the lightning element at the expert mage rank. It was a locking spell which was perfect for catching magic beasts alive if one wasn't powerful enough to completely overpower it. The spell was called Lightning Cage. Alex wanted to see how powerful his lightning cage was. Chapter 36, Getting Scouted. It didn't take long for Alex to find the next target to test his second element. Standing in front of a huge clearing in the middle of the forest, Alex could see a huge magic beast that looked like an orc in the distance with bulging muscles and bright red skin. The beast held a large piece of wood that resembled an enormous tree branch as it walked back and forth while making growling sounds. Alex checked and confirmed that it was a common rank magic beast, but these types of beasts usually had tough bodies and strength that were higher than their actual rank. This type of beast was just what Alex needed to test the strength of his lightning cage. It was perfect. After all, the lightning cage was a growth type spell that would become stronger as the mage grew stronger. The strength of its binding would depend on the mage's strength. Not wasting any time, Alex summoned the stars of the lightning element. Just like when he used Space Cut, the purple stars were also more than 24. They quickly formed 5-star patterns behind him before combining into an enormous star constellation. The oppressive pressure from the purple constellation spread in all directions, and the beast immediately noticed. It turned to look at the figure covered in a robe and mask with large shiny stuff behind him. It suddenly roared and charged at Alex with the tree branch in its large hand. Alex looked at the scene of the beast charging over with a calm look under his mask as he slowly called out the name of the spell. Lightning Cage. His voice was as low as a whisper, but the star constellation behind him suddenly released an even brighter burst of light as countless threads of lightning shot out like purple snakes and rushed toward the incoming beast. Alex watched as the threads of lightning formed a net-like cage that was just big enough to contain the beast, 5 meters wide and just a few inches taller than the beast. From time to time, small lightning arcs would break off from the lightning cage and zap the beast, making it roar in pain and rage. The beast tried to force its way out of the cage by slamming it with its weapon, but the tree branch was immediately blasted into pieces after making contact with the purple lightning, and even some of the current were sent back into the beast's body. Seeing this, the beast tried to force its way through with its tough body but immediately regretted that decision after it made contact with the lightning cage. Left without a choice, the huge beast began to roar at Alex from inside the lightning cage but didn't dare to move close to the lightning. That didn't prevent the occasional lightning arcs from striking it though. Alex stepped in front of the lightning cage and looked at it. Both the cage and beast were taller than him, so he had to tilt his head slightly to take a better look at them. He nodded after a while, pleased with the effect of the lightning cage. With this, he believed that he could capture any beast alive as long as they were in the common rank. He wasn't sure about other ranks since he hadn't tried capturing them yet. The image of the red-eyed bear appeared in his mind again. At this time, a thought to go test his new spells on it surfaced in Alex's mind, but he shook his head the next moment. He would wait till he reached the Master Mage rank before going back to fight that bear. For now, let's keep farming EXP, Alex said as he cast another spell. Space bullet, 2-star patterns were formed, followed by the sound of the whistling wind. Bam! The space bullet entered the lightning cage and pierced through its chest, killing it on the spot. Mission complete, 10 EXP. Another thing about the lightning cage was that the cage wouldn't disappear even after the mage cancelled the spell and would only disappear when the mage wanted it gone or ran out of mana. So Alex could use other spells while the lightning cage was still active. After killing the beast, Alex deactivated the lightning cage and watched as the purple lightning net slowly disappeared before going to store away the beast's body. He went in search of more beasts right after. He wasn't testing out spells anymore and was really about to start farming EXP. Time flew by swiftly and evening was soon approaching, in a part of the forest. Alex could be seen walking back slowly after just storing the corpse of an ant magic beast that he had killed. Daily mission complete. Kill magic beasts 12 halves. Weekly mission complete. Kill magic beasts 23/5 reward 10 EXP. Alex looked at the notifications. He had killed a total of 12 magic beasts so far, allowing him to complete the weekly mission once more. He checked his system profile after checking his total EXP points, although he had already calculated. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin level, 12 EXP for next level, 185/100, Error, Rank, Low Stage, Expert Mage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. He now had a total of 185 EXP points. He still wanted to hunt some more, but he might end up returning late again, so he had to leave. As for leveling up his system, he would do that after getting home. Alex planned to stop by the Union branch today to sell all the beast corpses he had stored in his space pocket. These included beasts from the previous day and today. A total of 23 beast corpses and 23 grade 1 mana cores, should be able to earn quite a bit, Alex mumbled to himself as he walked. Although he was walking, his speed was quick and he was soon out of the forest. He headed straight for the border and was let through. The officer from before tried to start a conversation, but Alex wasn't really interested and quickly left. The other officers laughed at their colleague and mocked him, constantly trying to get closer to the masked explorer even though he was always ignored. The latter didn't find this offensive and laughed along as well. Meanwhile, Alex soon arrived at the commercial district and went straight to the Union building. Immediately upon entry, he saw lots of people, many of them being mages. Now that he was at the expert mage rank, Alex was able to see the rank of everyone on this floor. Many of them were at the adept and core ranks. He could only spot a few at the expert mage rank, and the few who were at the expert mage rank had an air of importance surrounding them. Likewise, he had attracted the attention of many people as well because of the way he was addressed and due to Owen attending to him the last time he was here. A lot of people were interested in him, and these obviously included other explorer groups who were looking to recruit new explorers into their groups. They had already guessed that Alex must be someone important or powerful for one of the elders of the Union to attend to him personally. He must be a core or expert rank mage. Alex was about to approach one of the receptionists when a figure suddenly walked in front of him. Alex paused his steps and looked at the person in front of him. It was a tall man with spiky blonde hair and matching yellow eyes with a rough face and had quite some muscles. He wore a handle jacket and black pants. An adept mage. Alex thought to himself after observing the other party. He looked around and noticed that the action of the blonde-haired man had been ignored by everyone. It looked like this was something that happened rather often. "Hey, buddy. Are you new to Balan City? I don't think I've ever seen you before," the man said with a broad smile on his face which looked suspicious due to his rough appearance. Alex didn't respond to the other party's words and proceeded to walk around him instead, but the man walked in front of him again and blocked him. Hey, don't be in such a hurry to leave. I'm not trying to scam you or anything," the man said hastily while waving both hands. This caused Alex to raise an eyebrow behind his mask. Didn't this person see that he couldn't tell his rank? He still dared to block him twice despite knowing that Alex was stronger than him. Unknowing of Alex's thoughts, the blonde-haired man continued. Actually, I know that you're stronger than me since I can't see through your rank. You must be in the core rank or even at the expert mage rank. Since you're new here, how about joining our explorer group? We're called the Rising Wave, and our boss is actually an expert mage. We have over 20 members, with many of them at the core rank. You won't have to complete missions alone and will get paid well for every mission you complete. Alex's eyes flashed in realization after listening to the other party's words. So this person was a scout for an explorer group and was trying to scout him. Chapter 37, Dark Star Group. Alex had heard about the explorer groups before. They were a group formed by explorers who didn't want to join the Union but didn't want to go solo either. They would accept missions from the Union and individuals alike for benefits. Many of the explorer groups were actually owned by various big families, and they paid their members quite well. They would also go out to explore on their own and sell whatever they brought back to others in the commercial district. The Union was not the only place that bought beast corpses and monocores after all. But as for joining one, Alex wasn't interested since it would delay his progress. How could he farm EXP in peace with others tagging along? Just like when Owen tried to invite him to the Union, Alex was about to refuse when a voice sounded from the side, interrupting the two of them. What nonsense are you spitting? Such loads of crap. The Rising Wave is a weak group and only knows how to swindle ignorant explorers into joining you. The only reputable thing about your group is that your leader once attended a mage university, but even then, he was kicked out for not making good progress. Both Alex and the blonde-haired man turned to look at the newcomer. It was a pretty woman who looked to be in her late 20s and had an explosion figure that was barely covered by her crop top and short pants. The woman walked toward the two of them with 3 other people walking behind her. All eyes immediately turned on the 4 of them after hearing the woman's words, and those around began to whisper to one another while throwing glances at the pretty woman and the 3 behind her. Alex also noticed that the expression on the face of the blonde-haired man took a drastic turn as he stared at the approaching 4. This made Alex curious. He could see that the woman was also at the adept mage rank, and so were the 3 people behind her. Why was this person so afraid of her, and why had the 4 of them drawn so much attention that even the few core mages were looking at them? What do you want? My Rising Wave group approached him first. The blind-haired man voiced out, trying to act tough, but the panic in his voice was too obvious. The woman let out a wicked smile as she completely ignored the man and stood right in front of Alex, her large chest almost touching him as she looked up at his white mask. The highest offer always wins, right? The woman asked with a seductive smile. She seemed to be talking to Alex, but anyone could tell that those words were meant for the blonde-haired man behind her. The latter's body was trembling, and his hands were clenched, but he didn't do anything as the 3 people who were behind the woman earlier stared at him with meaningful eyes. Alex stared down at the woman's face without bending his neck. Her strong scent passed through his mask and entered his nose, and his face turned bright red behind his mask. Goodness, who's this person? Too close, too close. Alex exclaimed inwardly as he tried to stay calm, but he was finding it difficult. After all, this was the closest he had been to a female that wasn't a relative, not to mention one that had an adult charm and was barely dressed. Thankfully, because of his robe and mask, no one could tell his reaction and could only guess. Smiling, the woman spoke up again. You must be new, but I can already tell that you're important since an elder had personally welcomed you the other day. Come, join my Dark Star Explorer group. We're the biggest explorer group in Balan City, and you'll enjoy lots of privileges. The woman said softly and winked at Alex, cutely as she pushed closer and rubbed her chest against Alex. Blood immediately rushed to Alex's head, and he unconsciously took a step back from the woman. His heart was beating wildly, and his face was as red as a tomato. but due to his robe and mask, he still looked calm and seemed to have only shifted back because he didn't like the woman's action. Aside from that, Alex was shocked after hearing the woman's words. The Dark Star Explorer Group. He knew that group from the memories he had received from the previous Alex. They were really the biggest explorer group in Balan City with over 100 members and many families as their foundation. Many explorers who didn't want to join the Union would naturally jump at this chance without a moment of hesitation. Not to mention how the woman had behaved at the end of her invitation, he could already imagine the additional privileges aside from wealth that awaited him if he really joined. The woman wasn't offended by Alex moving away from her. She just stood there with a provocative smile on her face while hugging her two large pears. "So what do you say? Want to come with us right away?" she asked. However, someone suddenly called out to Alex at this moment. "Mr. Chen." Everyone stopped and turned to look. They saw Owen, one of the elders of the Union branch, walking from the direction of the elevator. Alex looked as well, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Someone had finally come to save him. He almost lost himself for a moment. Owen glanced around, and his gaze soon stopped on the faces of the woman and the three people from the Dark Star group. His gaze narrowed as he walked over. These people from the Dark Star group again, don't they have enough powerful members already? They have no idea who Mr. Chen is. I hope they haven't offended him yet. Owen thought to himself as he walked over. He had been informed not long ago that Mr. Chen had entered the Union building and had immediately rushed down, but he came to see the members of the biggest explorer group trying to cause trouble. How vexing. Reaching where Alex and the others were, Owen shot a glare at the pretty woman before stating, "Mr. Chen is a respected guest of this Union branch, all of you better stay away and not offend him." He then invited Alex to come with him after saying that, and the two of them left together, leaving everyone speechless. The lips of the pretty woman curled into a wider smile. Now she was getting more interested in this masked person. Meanwhile, Owen brought Alex to the elevator, and both of them ascended the Union building. Owen apologized for what had happened on the lower floor along the way, and Alex said it was all right. They went straight to business after that. Just like the last time, Owen brought Mr. Chen to a large room where he would drop the bodies of the beasts he had killed. He didn't need Alex's reminder this time and immediately left Alex alone after opening the door. Alex nodded in approval. He felt that Owen was quite a sensible person. He liked such people. After bringing out the beast corpses and getting Owen to take account, the payment issues were sorted out, and the payment for the set of beast corpses was added to the Black Union card he had been given earlier. "Hope to see you again soon," Owen said with a smile as he watched Mr. Chen leave, but the latter suddenly stopped and said with a hoarse voice, "I want to buy something." Chapter 38, Whispers of the Deep. After selling the beast corpses and mana cores, Alex's assets had gone from 6.3 million yen to 7.8 million yen. He had made more than what he made the last time, despite having fewer beast corpses this time, and Alex knew why. The price for a beast corpse would differ from how useful the materials in them were. Some beast corpses could only be sold to restaurants and turned into dishes, while some beasts had parts that could be used to make magic items. The sonic deer and ant beast were good examples. The horn of the deer could become a good scanning magic device, while the armor of the ant beast could become a good defensive magic item. To put it simply, the quality of the beast corpses that Alex had brought this time was better than the last time. Alex decided that he could now get the storage device he had thought about the last time. "Oh, what would Mr. Chen like to purchase?" Owen asked as he stood up. "A storage device," Alex responded. "Owen. A storage device? You want to buy a storage device? Don't you have a high-grade storage device already that can store over 20 large beasts? Even the most expensive storage device here can't store so many beasts. You'll have to go somewhere else, like a Union Core Center or even the Union HQ." Owen gasped inwardly. He didn't say anything out loud, but his surprise was visible on his face. I don't think we'll have one with a big enough storage for Mr. Chen, Owen stated after recovering from his shock. Anyone is fine, I just need to buy one, Alex replied. Oh, I see. Come with me then. Owen came to a realization. He thought that Mr. Chen wanted to get the storage device for someone else. Then it made sense. He led Alex out of the office, and they went to another floor of the building before arriving in front of a door. Owen pushed the door wide open without warning and revealed a room filled with items that were on display. A figure in a long coat and glasses stared at him from behind a counter on the side. It was Sub-Elder Lance. Looking at Owen, who had entered the room without notice again, Lance had a helpless look on his face. Again? Are you really repeating your rebellious phase? Lance began to speak, but immediately shut up after seeing the figure that walked in behind Elder Owen. A long black robe, a plain white mask with just 2 slits for the eyes to see through. It was Mr. Chen. Lance quickly looked at Owen, his eyes asking what was going on. Owen noticed this and informed Lance that Mr. Chen wanted to buy a storage device. Oh, I see. Welcome to the facility chamber, Mr. Chen. I've heard a lot about you. Lance said with a smile as he stood up behind the counter and offered a slight bow as he introduced himself. Alex only replied by grunting while nodding his head once. His gaze turned to the other part of the room, and he ran his eyes through the items on the long glass tables and frames hanging on the walls. Magic items, all of these were magic items. Alex was amazed, but they couldn't see it behind his mask. His attention was pulled back when Lance asked what sort of storage device he wanted to purchase. Alex said it would be best if it were in the form of a ring. As a manga fanatic in his previous world, he had always been thrilled by characters with storage rings. Plus, he felt it was cooler than having a storage bracelet. I see, then excuse me while I bring the items for you to pick, Lance said before walking away. After Lance left to gather all the storage devices that were ring-shaped, Alex and Owen were left in front of the counter. Alex noticed something on top of the counter. There was a large book that was left open. On both pages were drawings of items with lines of words that were probably their descriptions. Alex could not recognize the items in the drawings. He shifted his gaze. Beside the book was what looked like a seashell and was slightly red with 3 openings around it. Alex discovered that the strange item was a bit similar to the drawings on the page of the book, but there were slight differences. What's this? Alex thought. The all-knowing mask instantly kicked in, and the answer appeared in front of him. Whispers of the Deep. An item used by magic beasts that have awakened their senses and have knowledge similar to humans. The item can be used to control a large body of water and is usually found deep in the ocean. A treasure. Alex exclaimed inwardly after reading the information about the item. An item that allows one to control a large body of water? Wasn't that almost like having a readied high water spell at one's disposal? Lance returned at this point and placed 5 rings on the table. All were storage devices with similar sizes but different designs. After dropping the rings, Lance looked up at Mr. Chen's mask and noticed that the latter was staring at the item beside the book. I see Mr. Chen has been intrigued by this object. It's truly a pretty piece, but I've been having trouble telling what it is. Despite being a top appraisal, it's quite embarrassing. Could it be that Mr. Chen knows what this is? Lance asked with an honest smile. Alex lifted his gaze to meet Lance's face. He could tell that the other party wasn't lying to him. The open book on the counter was evidence that he didn't know what the item was. I can just say I don't know and be done with it, but telling them would probably make them view me in an even higher light. Alex thought silently. Since he already planned to build his Mr. Chen identity as a top expert, then he would be an all-rounder. It's called Whisper of the Deep, a magic item for controlling water, Alex said casually. Owen. Lance. Both were stunned by Mr. Chen's words and froze for a split second before Lance reacted. He rushed into the door that was behind the counter and soon returned with another huge book, which he placed on the counter. Flipping through it rapidly, he soon stopped on a page and began to trace his finger along the page. Owen got close to Lance and also stared into the book. A while later, both of them revealed an even more shocked expression. Mr. Chen was actually right. On the page was really the exact same drawing as the whispers of the deep and long lines about its origin and uses. Although Mr. Chen hadn't given a thorough explanation, he had said the key points, and those were exactly the same as in this book. I knew I had seen it somewhere. It would have taken me some time to find it, but Mr. Chen's words helped me to narrow down my search range to items that could control water, Lance stated, his eyes staring at Alex's mask in a new light. He had asked the question as a joke. He didn't expect Mr. Chen to really know the answer. Freeobnovel.com. This Mr. Chen really isn't simple. Chapter 39, Buying a Storage Ring. Freeobnovel.cmh. How does Mr. Chen know this? Are you an appraiser as well? Lance asked after some time. Alex remained silent and just kept staring at him. Lance could only give up on asking and take Mr. Chen's silence as his answer. He came to the conclusion that Mr. Chen must be an appraiser as well, one who was more knowledgeable than he. They changed topic and returned their focus to the 5 rings that Lance had come with. Alex began to check them one after the other. All 5 rings were very light and wouldn't be felt if one wore them all day. Their designs were also very well to his liking. Lance then explained the space contained in each of the rings, as well as the price that each one of them cost. 3 of the rings had a space that was almost as large as the bracelet that Owen had given to him the previous time. One had almost the size of 2 rooms and could contain up to 18 large beasts, while the last one only had 5 meters storage in it and could hold 1 large beast at best or 2 smaller magic beasts. As for their pricing, the 3 that had almost the same space as the bracelet were sold for 5.000.000 zen each. The one with the largest storage capacity went for 2.000.000 zen, while the last and smallest one cost 2.000.000 zen. Alex. Damn, so expensive. Alex cursed in his heart, realizing that all his wealth might have very well been gone if he really wanted to get a storage device that would be useful to him. He secretly thanked the system for giving him the crafter skill. 500 EXP points was nothing compared to spending so much money. Which one would Mr. Chen like to buy? I would advise going for this one. It has more storage capacity and can contain more beast corpses. Even though the space is still relatively small for experts like Mr. Chen, you can buy one with even higher storage in the future or at an auction. Lance said suggestively. Alex still didn't say anything. He was conflicted about spending almost half of his wealth on something that wasn't really going to be of use to him. Seeing as Mr. Chen was silent, Owen thought about something and spoke up. I don't think it's for Mr. Chen. He already has a storage device that can store over 25 beast corpses, large ones as a matter of fact. I think he wants to give it to someone. Lance's eyes gleamed as realization struck him. I see, if that's the case. Then maybe this one would be better depending on how close Mr. Chen's relationship is with the person. It's not too cheap and is a good starting point if it's the person's first storage device. Lance stated as he dropped the most expensive storage ring and picked the cheapest one that cost 2 million zen. A look of gratitude appeared on Alex's face after hearing Owen's words, which made sense, and Alex hadn't even thought of that. It would be easier to buy a cheaper one if he were planning to give it out. He finally made a decision, and Lance returned the other 4 to their shelves. Although it came as a surprise, we won't take advantage of Mr. Chen. High-level appraisers are well sorted after for their knowledge, and each appraising session usually costs quite a lot, including the discount for registering as an explorer under our union branch. The sum of 1.7 million zen has been deducted from the original price for the storage device, so Mr. Chen only needs to pay 300,000 zen for it. Lance stated, and Owen nodded in agreement. Alex was amazed upon hearing this. He almost jumped up from excitement, but calmed himself. He made a sound before bringing out his card from under his robe and handing it to Lance. He watched Lance bring out another device, which he placed the black card on top and pressed a few buttons before returning it to Alex. The sum of 300.000 Zen has been deducted. Here's your ring. Lance said with a smile. Alex took back his card and also picked up the ring, placing both under his robe. With nothing else to do, it was time to leave, but Lance suddenly called out to Alex just before he could walk past the door. Please wait, Mr. Chen. We'll be hosting an auction in a few months. I wonder if Mr. Chen would be willing to come and be a guest appraiser for the items that would be submitted to us. I promise that you'll be paid well for each appraisal session. You might even find things that interest you as well. Lance said. Alex was silent for a few seconds as he thought about it, and soon came up with an answer. He said he would think about it. Lance smiled helplessly before waving goodbye. He felt that Mr. Chen's response was at least better than an outright rejection. After leaving the item facility, Owen escorted Alex to the lower floor, where many explorers were still waiting to be attended to. Countless pairs of eyes immediately landed on them, but neither of them reacted. They exchanged goodbyes with only Owen doing the talking before Alex finally left. Going outside the Union building, Alex looked up at the sky, which was getting darker but wasn't pitch black like the last time. Time to head back home. Mr. Chen, wait for me. A female voice suddenly sounded from behind Alex, and he turned to look and saw that it was the pretty woman from the Dark Star group. Seeing her jogging towards him and her large chest bouncing under her top, Alex's body suddenly began to heat up, and his face blushed heavily. He didn't dare to stop and wait for her, his walking speed increased instead. As an expert mage, how could an adept mage hope to catch up even if he were walking? But Alex had to admit that the woman was still following him. It was frustrating because people were now looking at them as she ran and called out to him while he walked hastily. Alex soon reached the quiet alleyway where he usually changed into his Mr. Chen outfit. He immediately withdrew his mask and robe back to his system and reverted to his normal appearance before coming out. He walked into the woman on his way out, and the latter stopped in front of him. Hey, kid, did you see anybody in a robe and white mask walk into here? She asked while staring at the alleyway behind Alex. Yes, he went the other way. You might catch him if you run faster. Alex replied while pointing at the other end of the alleyway. The woman didn't even suspect that he was lying and immediately dashed forward. Alex shook his head and began to walk home. He looked at the ring on his finger along the way. He felt it looked good on his finger. Although he wasn't really going to use it for storing things, it would at least make him look cool. Alex reached the outskirts of Balan City after a few minutes of walking, but something interesting happened. Hey kid, come over here for a second. Chapter 40, Lecturing Thugs in the Alley. Hey kid, come over here for a second. Alex heard a voice call out to him from a dark alley that was positioned between two half-collapsed buildings. No lights could be seen from any of the windows on either building, which showed that no one lived in them. Alex looked over. He was just a few more minutes away from his house, but he didn't run away and walked over instead. He knew what was about to happen since it had happened to the old Alex before, and he had naturally seen it in his memories. Alex would have probably run away like a madman if it were when he just transmigrated, but now it was different. Now this should be fun, Alex chuckled silently as he walked toward the dark alley. Sitting on top of some broken furniture and an old dumpster in the alley were a group of 5 men in ragged clothes and rough appearances. They had pieces of clothes tied around their foreheads or arms, and Alex could spot the scars on their bodies. They were obviously not good people. Seeing Alex walk over obediently, the 5 men were very pleased and began to laugh amongst themselves. Alex reached the front of the alley and stood there, standing at the 2 men who were just a few meters away from him. Someone seemed to have recognized him and called out. Hey, isn't this Zoran's kid? I heard he's a student at the academy. Oh, he's a mage then? Then we should be messing with him, else it might end badly, he. Oh, knock it off, he's been in the academy for 4 years and hasn't made any progress, what can he do? The group of 5 chatted away, not caring that Alex was in front of them. After ridiculing him for a while, they finally shifted their focus to Alex. Hey, give us everything on you and we'll let you go home without a beating. One of the men said. He wore a torn armless jean jacket with a red piece of fabric around his forehead, and a broken bottle was held in his right hand, which he showed to Alex. Alex remained silent as he watched this. The 5 of them thought that he had become too scared to even speak. Well, his family is poor, and he's a trash mage. What could he possibly have that would be valuable? Just let him go. Another man in a dirty singlet and a big scar on his cheek sighed from the side. The others seemed to agree with him, and they laughed. One of them noticed the ring on Alex's finger at this moment, though. He might not have anything of value, but that ring looks nice. Hand the ring over here, kid, and then get lost, he said while stretching out his hand. Alex looked down at his fingers at this moment and raised his hand, displaying the ring. You mean this ring? Alex asked. No, the one on your mother's teeth. Do you think I'm playing with you? Hand it over and don't make me hurt you. The man who had requested the ring retorted angrily, spit flying out of his mouth, and veins popped up on his neck as he barked at Alex. Sorry, but I don't want to, I won't give it to you. Alex lowered his hand and said softly while shaking his head. The 5 men froze, stunned by Alex's refusal. The man who had asked for the ring was even more shocked, he stood petrified in place for a bit before flying into a fit of rage the next moment. You punk! He yelled as he jumped to his feet and grabbed a bottle that was close to him. Clang! He hit the bottle on the ground and immediately shattered half of it. Now holding the remaining half in his hand, he walked toward Alex. You bastard, you think I won't dare to hurt you? He spat as he reached Alex and waved the broken bottle at Alex. Alex, seeing the incoming attack, raised his left hand to block. Clang! The broken bottle crashed into Alex's hand, but instead of his hand getting stabbed and blood flowing out, as the 5 had expected, the sound of the remaining half of the bottle shattering was what greeted them instead. They all saw the pieces of the bottle drop to the floor in front of Alex. They looked at his arm and saw that he was not hurt. Now even a scratch could be seen on his screen. 5 thugs. TF. Their minds went blank with question marks for a second as they couldn't understand what was going on. Why wasn't the kid hurt? Alex just glanced at the bottle fragments on the floor in front of him before raising his gaze to look at the man before him. His eyes were closed as he slowly lowered his hand. He wasn't surprised that he didn't get hurt, he was an expert rank mage and would have died of embarrassment if he were hurt by that. Hick. The man who had attacked Alex almost had his soul jumping out of his body when Alex looked at him like that. He wanted to retreat, but Alex's hand moved like lightning and grabbed his neck before he could even take a step. The man soon found his body being lifted off the ground and his breathing becoming difficult, as well as a firm grip around his neck that caused him pain. He began to make choking sounds as he thrashed his hands and legs in the air, trying to break free from Alex's grip. The other 4 were utterly stupefied by this scene. What were they seeing? Didn't they say that this kid was a trash mage? Then why didn't he get hurt after getting attacked with a bottle? And how was he holding up a full-grown man with one hand? Audiobook.com. Everything was a lie, this kid wasn't a trash mage, they had to run. Immediately, this thought appeared on their mind, the remaining 4 immediately turned around and wanted to flee, but how could Alex allow that? He first checked around to make sure that no other mage was around before releasing his mana. Boom! The powerful pressure of an expert rank mage exploded from Alex's body and covered the entire alley, bringing great pressure to all of the thugs. Whoever runs will die first, Alex stated in an icy tone, and all 4 of them froze in place, not daring to even breathe too loudly. Alex was very pleased with their reaction. With the last thug in his grasp, Alex slowly walked into the alley. A few moments later, horrified screams rang out from the dark alley. These screams lasted for minutes, they were mixed with pleading voices and promises of repentance. Half an hour later, Alex could be seen walking home with a smile on his face. He was in a good mood. That should be enough to make them change their ways, Alex mumbled to himself. He didn't kill the thugs and had only lectured them several times on how to change their bad ways of living. He noticed that some of them were reluctant to change, so Alex lectured them more seriously. Due to the intensity of the lecture, some of them had ended up with swollen faces and even broken bones. But all those were minor problems, they could fix themselves. "I'm back," Alex announced as he opened the door and stepped into the house. He met his mother walking out of the kitchen with some plates in her hands. Their eyes met, and her eyes shifted the next second. "What's that ring you're wearing?" Chapter 41, The System Got Fixed. His mother had instantly noticed the ring on his finger the moment he walked into the house and asked about it. Alex claimed that he had gotten it from a random roadside shop for 5 Zen. He said that the person said it was a storage device and was literally giving it away for the price of 5 Zen. His mother shook her head after hearing this, thinking that her son had been scammed. She didn't scold him and only warned him not to buy things from such places in the future, as the sellers were very dishonest and usually sold fake things. She thought Alex would realize the truth soon after he discovered that he had been sold a normal ring. After the short matter about the ring was cleared up, Alex went to his room to wash up before coming down to help set up the table for dinner. His father came later that evening, and they all had dinner together. Alex was asked during dinner if there was anything he needed since he entered the adept mage rank. Although his parents were ordinary people and did not know much about mages, they knew that growing a mage required resources and a lot of money. And they had experienced it before. During the process when Alex had newly awakened and entered the academy, it was also the reason why they had fallen into debt. They were just concerned that Alex hadn't asked for anything since he made a breakthrough, not even a single monocore. Alex was touched by their concern but shook his head in response. He really didn't need anything. Even if he did, he could afford anything himself and just go kill more beasts if he was short on money. His father stared at him so intently after Alex said that he didn't need anything, it was as if his father suspected that he was lying and was trying to look into his soul. He gave up in the end after Alex only looked back with a blank look on his face. He truly didn't need anything. The family finished dinner and returned to their respective rooms. Lying on his bed, Alex's mind wandered to what had happened today in the forest outside the border. The spell for expert rank mages of the space element was just too overbearing. How were other mages supposed to handle such spells? Well, it wasn't only the spell at the expert mage rank, all the spells of the space element from the adept mage rank to the other ranks were just too overbearing. Telekinesis, space bullets, space wall, and space cut. All spells were near invisible and difficult to track down. Mages of the same rank would literally be in serious trouble if faced with any of these spells. I guess that's why the space element is regarded with so much respect for being a rare element, Alex mumbled softly. He wasn't wrong for saying this, after all, he was the only one with the space element in the entire academy. He didn't know about other academies in Balan City, but he doubted there would be more than 2 in any of the other academies. His mind continued to wander about what had happened after he returned to the Union building, the scouts of the Rising Wave and Dark Star Explorer groups, how he had managed to escape the pursuit of the big-chested woman, and lastly, his lecture session with the thugs. "Ah, it's been a busy day indeed," Alex said with a sigh as he rolled over. He chose not to read and just sleep for tonight. Tomorrow was going to be an interesting day. That night, Alex had a nightmare. He had dreamt that his system had been fixed and all of its features had returned to normal. It was a calamity. The amount of EXP needed for each level up increased significantly and the rewards for killing low-ranked magic beasts as he got stronger reduced as well, forcing him to only kill magic beasts of equal or higher strength. Not just that, the amount of EXP that he could get every day also became limited due to the limits set by the daily and weekly mission counts. It was very terrible. Alex had tried so many times to undo the fixing of the system, but it only grew worse as his items and skills turned inactive, and he needed to activate them with a large amount of EXP. Ah! Alex had woken up in the middle of the night with a shout. His eyes were wide open like someone who just saw a ghost, and his body was drenched in cold sweat. Realizing that he had been dreaming, the first thing that Alex did was to check his system. He called out the system profile and hastily ran his eyes through the lines. He released a big sigh of relief after seeing that everything was still okay. Thank God it was only a dream. That was scary. Alex shivered as he thought about the nightmare. He didn't dare to sleep that night again. He first went to take a bath and changed his clothes before returning to his room and picking up a book. He had to get some EXP to console himself. Morning came quickly, and Alex had only read 3 books from the time he woke up till dawn. Although he had assured himself that it was just a dream, the horrors of the nightmare weren't so easy to forget. The series of notifications that alerted him that his system had been fixed were like voices of vengeful ghosts to his ears. This had caused Alex to be easily distracted while reading and had greatly reduced his reading speed, causing him to be able to read only 3 books. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zoran level, 12 EXP for next level, 200/100, Error, Rank, Low Stage, Expert Mage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Alex saw that he now had 200 EXP points, which would be enough for him to level up twice. He had planned to level up yesterday but had forgotten. I can still do it now anyway, Alex said as he gave the command in his mind. Ding. System level up. Level 12, level 13. Level 13, level 14. Low stage, expert rank, mid stage, high stage, expert rank. Alex smiled. This was a better reassurance that his system hadn't been fixed. He called out his profile after taking a look. He took a look and felt gratified. His system was now at level 14, and he was now at the high stage of the expert mage rank. 200 EXP short from reaching the master rank. Alex couldn't help but feel emotional at the thought that he would soon reach the master mage rank. How many mages could reach this rank? How many master rank mages were in Balan City? Even the teachers were at the expert mage rank. It's all thanks to the system, Alex said with a grateful sigh. Just like other characters that he had read about in his previous life, he also wondered what the origin of the system was and why it had broken. But he didn't dare to think of when or how it could be fixed, though. The thought didn't even cross his mind for a moment. Had the system not broken, he might still be in the adept mage rank by now. At this moment, Emily's voice came from outside his door, telling him to prepare and come down for breakfast. Okay, I'll be down in a bit. Alex replied before getting up from his bed. It was time to get ready for the academy. Chapter 42, Start of the Competition Wednesday, at the Dragonic Magic Academy. The air in the academy was tense, filled with excitement and anticipation. This was because it was the last day for those who had yet to register for the competition, and also the start of the competition. Students barely focused on classes as they talked about the competition, and the discussions were heated. The teachers didn't mind this and allowed the students to engage themselves. After all, the competition was a big thing for them since it would decide who would represent their academy during the All-Star Academy tournament next month. During classes, students of the 4th year were very calm and not too excited about the competition. They were confident and believed that the people who would represent their academy in the tournament would definitely come from their class. This didn't prevent them from still chatting about it. Although they were confident that their class would produce the winners, the big question was still who was going to be the winners. They already considered Laura as one of the winners, they were debating who the other 4 were going to be. Some even joked that Alex could shock everyone and become one of the four. They didn't hold back in washing him with their tongues. During classes, Alex was calm and ignored the chatter of the students around him. While some of the students were nervous and excited, Alex already knew what the results were going to be. For himself, of course, he didn't know about the others. Time flew quickly, and classes were soon over. Before the teacher who taught them their last class for the day left the classroom, they were informed that all students should gather at the academy's field. Those who had registered for the competition were also given numbers that they would pay attention to when they reached the field. Alex was given a tag with the number 28 written on it. Everyone was already aware that Alex had registered for the competition, so they were not too surprised when he was also given a number tag. After this teacher left, all of the students immediately swam out of their classes and rushed toward the field. The field was actually a wide space that was in the heart of the academy. The academy building was built around it like a dragon curling around a mountain. The field had a concrete floor and looked like a circular ring that was 50 meters wide. A sitting area spiraled around the field and stretched high up. The place could hold over 500 spectators. Reaching the field, the students saw a figure standing in the middle of the 50-meter wide ring. It was a woman with short black curly hair who looked to be in her early 40s, who wore a long green robe that covered her shoulders down to her legs. The students immediately recognized this woman. She was the Vice Dean of the Dragonic Magic Academy. The Vice Dean smiled at the students who were looking at her, causing them to blush before they ran to find seats for themselves. Alex also saw the Vice Dean when he appeared, and he raised an eyebrow in surprise. He could not see through her rank. The Vice Dean also looked in his direction, and their gazes locked. The two stared at each other for more than 5 seconds before Alex realized what he was doing and looked away. He lowered his gaze and walked to the sitting area. The Vice Dean kept her eyes on Alex as he walked away. "This kid," she mumbled to herself with a complicated expression on her face. As the Vice Dean of the Academy, she naturally knew who Alex was. After all, he was the only student with a rare element in the Academy, and his reputation as a trash mage was not a secret. She was surprised when Alex locked eyes with her. Other students would usually be flustered after crossing eyes with her, but this Alex kid was different. He had maintained eye contact with her, and she couldn't sense any nervousness from him even after he looked away. Rather, it felt like he realized that he was doing something wrong and had quickly retracted his gaze. "Interesting, he has finally reached the adept rank as well," she said with a small smile. She decided to pay special attention to Alex during this period. Time passed, and all the students finally gathered in the field, and the teachers of the academy were also present. The Vice Dean began to speak. She first addressed the students, praising those who had worked hard and encouraging them to keep working hard, as this was only the beginning. After which she moved to why they had gathered the students here. "You must all have been informed by your teachers, so I would speak much about the competition. I just want to add that the Academy is implementing this new method to give every student a chance. Being a Class 4 student doesn't necessarily mean that you are stronger than those in Class 3 or Class 2. The Vice Dean talked for a bit. She informed the students that they should not expect any weak opponents and to do their best during the competition, as only those who have reached the Adept Mage rank were allowed to participate. Plus, she reminded those who were going to compete about the importance of the All-Star Academy tournament. It wasn't just a simple tournament between the different academies in Balan City, but also a way for the various mage universities to scout young talents that they would consider for admission into their universities. Representatives of different mage universities would usually attend the All-Star Academy tournament and take notes of promising students. These students would then receive admission letters from the universities. To put it simply, it was a chance for the students to shine. Listening to the Vice Dean talk about the mage universities, the blood of the students boiled, and they were getting more excited for the competition. They could not wait for it to start so that they could claim a spot and qualify for the tournament next month. After all, Each academy would send 5 students for the tournament. After talking for a bit more, the vice dean went on to announce the rules for the competition as 2 teachers walked up to the ring. They would be the ones to step in when they noticed that things were going out of control with the students. The students were going to compete and make it into the top 5 to qualify. There were a total of 350 students participating, and every day, half of the students would be eliminated. The competition would last for 5 days, and the students needed to have 5 straight wins to enter the top 5. After saying her piece, the vice dean disappeared from the stage, causing the students to gasp in astonishment. But Alex and the teachers were calm because they had seen what had really happened, thanks to their high rank. The vice dean didn't truly disappear but had run out of the stage at a speed that shocked Alex slightly. She's stronger than the expert mage rank, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, the teachers had started to call the students who would be participating. Currently, 2 boys are standing opposite each other in the ring. One was wearing the academy's uniform with a dark blue cloak around his shoulders, while the other was a boy with a bright red cloak. A 4th-year student with the water element and a 3rd-year student with the fire element. Begin. Chapter 43, The Competition. Battle of Adept Mages. Immediately after the voice of the teacher fell, giving the command for the competition to start, both students swung into action. Boom! 2 consecutive auras exploded in the ring as the 2 students released their auras of the Adept Mage rank, their cloaks fluttering from the pressure brought by their auras. The students who were spectating watched with interest and excitement as both students standing in the ring faced off. They were over 10 meters away from each other, their eyes locked on each other with serious expressions as they summoned the stars of their elements. At the Adept Mage rank, a mage only needed to form a single star pattern to cast spells. Immediately, 5 dazzling blue stars and 5 red stars appeared behind the 2 students and began to connect. Go get him. Show them that we aren't weaker just because we're 1 class lower. Teach that junior a lesson. Show the might of the fire element. The rest of the students cheered loudly from the spectating area, supporting either their classmates or similar elements. The surrounding teachers were also watching with interest. 3 seconds later, the water mage was the first to finish his star pattern. He immediately called out the name of his spell, and the blue star pattern behind him glowed more dazzlingly. Water blade. Drops of water quickly appeared in front of the blue star pattern before forming into a 1-meter-long water blade that flew toward the other student with the fire element. The speed of the water blade wasn't too fast but wasn't slow either, it shuttled through the air and approached the other student. The surrounding students cheered at this scene, those with the water element or who were class 4 students praised the water mage. On the other hand, the student with the fire element was only a second slower than his opponent and had used 4 seconds to complete his star pattern. A large, blazing red star pattern formed in the air above him. In the face of the incoming water blade, the student didn't panic. His star pattern had already formed, and he immediately sent out a spell as well. Fireball! He shouted. The red star pattern above his head suddenly looked to have gotten hotter as a fireball that was as big as a watermelon formed in front of it. Under the student's control, it shot through the air and toward the incoming water blade. This action caused his classmates and fire element users to cheer in anticipation. To them, the fight was exciting. Both spells met in the middle of the ring and collided. Boom! A small explosion set off, and hot steam covered that part of the ring for a moment after the 2 spells met. However, the next second, swoosh! A weakened water blade that looked like it could disappear at any point flew out from the smoke and continued toward the student with the red cloak. From this, it was clear whose mana was stronger. The water mage might be 1 or 2 sub-stages higher than his opponent. Even then, the student with the fire element didn't panic when he saw the water blade flying toward him. He moved a few meters to the side and completely dodged it, letting the water blade crash into the ground with a bang sound. Seeing his opponent dodge his water blade, the 4th-year student proceeded to form another star pattern, but his opponent had already started connecting his stars. The fire mage completed his star pattern this time and immediately launched his spell. Flare. 5 tiny tongues of flame that looked like candle lights appeared around him before shooting across the air with a speed that was faster than the previous water blade and arrived near the water mage in a matter of seconds. When he saw that the 5 tongues of flame had reached his opponent, the student shouted again. Explode. Boom. 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 5 consecutive explosions rang out around the water mage, covering a part of the ring in smoke, but the concrete floor of the ring was not affected, and only scorched marks were left. Everyone looked at where the water mage was standing previously, which was now shrouded in thick smoke. They could not see anything, so they couldn't tell if the spell had succeeded or failed. However, a figure suddenly jumped out from the smoke the next moment. It was the 4th-year water mage, and in his hand was a thin water shield that was just as tall as his figure. Though his face had turned black and his uniform had burnt marks, he had survived the spells. Turned out that while the water mage had sent his spell flying toward him, the water mage didn't stop connecting his star pattern and had cast the water shield at the moment that the tongues of flames went off, but his casting had been covered by the explosions and smoke. Woo-ah-woo. Go go go, show him that the fire element isn't stronger than the water element. Beat him to the ground, fire is the most ferocious element. The students cheered as they got more excited watching the fight. The teachers stayed silent but watched with smiles, feeling proud of their students. They felt that the students were not bad and had potential. However, while watching the 2 students run around the ring and throw spells at each other, a certain someone had a blank look on his face. That person was obviously Alex. This had to be the first time he was watching a fight between low-level mages. The previous Alex had never bothered to go to the training ground of the academy since he couldn't use spells, so he hadn't seen other mages fight as well. He saw a scene where the water mage sent 2 water blades at his opponent, and the latter had run to the other side of the ring with what he considered was great speed. After all, mages were far better than ordinary people in physical aspects, even adept mages. Their speed was not something ordinary people could compare to. But to Alex, they were as slow as a falling leaf. Alex. The fuck was he watching? What the bloody hell was he looking at? Was this considered normal? Was this how mages were meant to fight? Why was it so different from what he had in mind? Taking seconds to complete just a single star pattern, they would be long dead if they were fighting a magic beast. Alex was indeed frightened at the sight in front of him. He was beginning to reconsider whether it was even worth it to participate in this competition. He would rather fight 3 magic beasts at the same time. However, Alex was forgetting one thing as he watched the fight going on in the ring. And that was that, adept mages were never meant to fight magic beasts by themselves, and not everyone was like him who could form star patterns and even a star constellation almost instantly. Heck, that was even because of his system. Alex forced himself to keep watching since it at least showed him how the students fought. The fight dragged on for minutes until, finally, the 4th-year student won. His opponent had run out of mana after casting so many spells and was very exhausted. When faced with a water blade, a teacher came to block it for him and also announced the end of the match as well as the winner. Student number 46 wins. The students who had supported the water mage cheered loudly at his victory. As for the mage in question, he left the ring with a proud smile, but his uniform and hair weren't in good condition either. Right after, the next students were called up. Student number 15 and 276, come on stage. Chapter 44, Fire Mage vs Earth Mage. 2 students walked into the ring from the spectators area. They were a boy with a red cloak and a girl with a brown cloak around their shoulders, the fire and earth element. Judging by the shades of the colors of their cloaks, they were both 3rd-year students. The girl had a very beautiful appearance with a small nose, and many people immediately began to cheer for her after she got on stage. Although some people still cheered for her opponent, it could not compare to her. The two of them exchanged some words, and it was apparent that they knew each other. Well, how could they not know each other? They were students of the same year. But judging from their interaction, one could tell that their relationship was not a friendly one. Begin. Immediately, the teacher voiced out, and both students released their auras and summoned their stars as they formed huge and dazzling star patterns. The field was noisy because of the onlookers while Alex watched in disbelief as the same scene played over and over. He was fed up. The boy would cast fireballs and flare, but the girl who had both of her palms pressed on the ground had only used a single spell. Control. The huge brown star pattern remained in the air behind her like a lingering shadow as she bent down and pressed both hands on the ground, her eyes glowing with brown light. She was constantly controlling the concrete of the ring to shift her position or block the attacks of her opponent. Although she could only control the ground within a radius of 5 meters around her, it was enough for her to handle the current situation. The students began to cheer more and more, and some were even teasing the fire mage, causing him to grow furious and frustrated. No matter what he did, the girl would always control the ground to react to his attacks, and he was already getting exhausted. As for his opponent, the earth mage. While it looked like she had everything under control, the truth was that she could not attack her opponent, of course, not with the distance between them. The other party needed to be within her range of control for her to attack. The spell, Earth Control, was a spell that allowed her to control an area around her for as long as her mana could last, and it would count as a single spell. This meant that she could cast other spells after ending her control. Of course, this spell also required her to have her hands connected with the ground at all times, and moving away would immediately end the spell. Plus, every time she controlled the ground, a portion of her mana would be used up, but it was not compared to what would be used if she used normal spells. This allowed her to last longer by controlling her surroundings. Evidently realizing this, the fire mage has stopped attacking. Both sides looked at each other for a few seconds before the fire mage suddenly spoke up. "You can only control an area of 5 meters, then I just have to stay outside this range. Let's see if you can still withstand my attacks." He sneered and rushed toward the girl. The latter's eyes were cold as she watched the approaching fire mage, her hands still pressed on the ground. The spectators went into an uproar as they were about to watch a spectacular show, but Alex didn't feel this way. He was so bored that he was almost getting depressed from watching the fight. If not for his inability to gather mana, he would have meditated instead until his name was called. Unknown to him, someone was watching him closely. It was the vice dean. From his expression, does he think the other students are too bad? I wonder how he will perform. She mumbled to herself with interest from where she was sitting. Back in the ring, the fire mage approached his opponent and kept a distance of about 8 to 10 meters between them. He then summoned his stars, and it took him 5 seconds to complete the star pattern, as he wasn't in a hurry. Flare. Tongues of flame appeared and moved toward the girl with the earth element before surrounding her. Seeing this, the eyes of the girl flashed with a shine as mana moved inside her body, and the ground immediately became flexible and began to rise. At the same time, explode! The boy shouted, and the tongues of flame exploded around the girl, shrouding her and blocking her from view of the students. Only Alex and the teachers had seen that she had created an earth dome around herself just when the explosions went off. Ha ha ha, blast that turtle away. She only knows how to hide, how cowardly. You dare to harm my Ryu, I'll kill you. Different voices sounded around the field, some were praising the fire mage while some scolded him. However, the fire mage did not care about any of this. His face showed tiredness, and sweat could be seen on his face. His mana was running low, which affected his stamina. He didn't cast another spell and waited for the smoke from the explosion to settle. Only then did he realize that the girl had protected herself before his flames had exploded. Although Alex felt that this was difficult to watch, he had to admit that the girl had reacted fast enough to save herself. As for the girl's opponent, he was shocked and furious. The spectators were also shocked. They didn't think that the girl had managed to protect herself. He, don't look down on the earth element. Good job, Ryu, beat that fire mage. Blast her cage to pieces. Voices came from all directions, and the two participants in the ring tried to ignore everything. Are you a turtle? Do you like getting attacked and don't like attacking? The fire mage asked angrily but got no response. By now, the girl had undone the earth dome and was staring at him. Out of frustration, he decided to get closer. His plan was to trick the girl into thinking that he was going to get into her control range and then launch a spell, but he kept in mind to watch out for the 5-meter mark. For this, he summoned his stars again and formed a bright red star pattern before slowly approaching in calculated steps. If my attacks aren't fast enough, I'll just have to explode them in your face, he shouted. The spectators were stunned by his action. What was he doing? Getting too close was dangerous. Everyone thought that the fire mage was going to risk it, and the girl's eyes narrowed as she watched him get close. After reaching 6 meters, though, he suddenly stopped and shouted, "Fireball!" A ball of flame that was as big as a watermelon suddenly appeared in front of him and shot toward the girl. Everyone was shocked by this sudden attack, as they thought that he was still going to get closer. The girl was caught off guard as well. She instinctively removed her hands from the ground and rolled away, ending her spell in the process. Boom! The fireball crashed into the place where she was previously and immediately scorched the place. This isn't over yet, the voice of the fire mage immediately sounded in the girl's ears. Freebubble.com. He was already forming another star pattern. The girl immediately reacted and started to form the star pattern of her earth element as well. The girl finished before he did. She had used 3 seconds to complete her star pattern while her opponent still needed 1 more second. Alas, she should have moved away instead of forming a star pattern there. He's beyond her control range, a teacher said with a sigh. They felt that the girl was about to start defending herself again like before, but what happened next stunned them. Chapter 45, Laura's fight. The girl slapped her palms on the ground again and immediately used earth control. At the same time, her opponent had also completed the star pattern and was about to launch his spell. But when everyone was expecting to see the girl defending and before the fire mage could call out his spell, the ground around him trembled violently as 2 large rock hands that were roughly shaped burst out from the ground and grabbed the body of the fire mage. Everyone was shocked by this scene, including the fire mage who was grabbed. He could feel slight pain around his body where the rock hands had grabbed him, and he was unable to move. His eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the girl who was smirking at him. At this moment, one of the 2 teachers appeared between them like a ghost and announced that the fight had ended. He announced the girl as the winner and asked both students to undo their spell and retreat their star pattern. Although the fire mage was unwilling, he knew that he had indeed lost. If the fight was to continue, these rock hands would crush him faster than his spell would fly out. The spectators also felt the same way. He had lost the moment those hands caught him. The thing that confused everyone, however, was how the girl had managed to catch her opponent. The other party had made sure to stay 5 meters away but still got caught. They could already guess that the range of the girl's control wasn't 5 meters, and her next words confirmed it. After they stood up and were about to leave the ring, the girl turned to her opponent and said with a sweet smile that range of her control increases as she broke through the sub-stages. Her control was now at 8 meters and had purposely waited for her opponent to get too close for him to escape even after realizing it. The field went into an uproar after hearing her explanation, and more people cheered for her while her opponent left with an angry face. From where Alex was seated, he silently touched his cheek while thinking to himself. Although the fight between the students was boring to watch, he was at least learning about other elements. Fwenv.com. After those 2 left the ring, more and more students were called up to fight. They watched as the students of different classes and elements faced off and displayed their might. To the students, it was an exciting and thrilling show to watch as they felt that the situation was intense. For the teachers, they felt it was entertaining and refreshing to watch the students that they had taught show their progress. As for Alex, he wanted to take a nap and was only watching because it was too noisy. Finally, after about 40 fights had taken place in the ring, a familiar figure that made the whole students cheer fervently came up onto the ring. Student number 1 and 231, come on stage. A beautiful girl with long red hair that matched her dark red cloak walked up to the ring with a confident air around her. It was Laura, the fire goddess of the academy. It wasn't surprising that she was the first to register and got the number 1 spot since she was very well qualified for the competition. The teachers might even register her down without her coming to do it personally. The entire field was in an uproar as they cheered for Laura, calling her all sorts of glorifying names. In response to this, Laura maintained a calm and indifferent expression. She was already used to this. The teachers were also watching her with interest. They wanted to see how she would perform. As for her opponent, no one had even noticed that she had already come on stage. It was a girl with short black hair and a rather good-looking face, a dark yellow cloak wrapped around her shoulders, indicating that she was a fourth-year student with the wind element. Both girls stood opposite each other with a distance of 5 to 7 meters between them as they stared at each other. Laura had an indifferent expression on her face as she looked at her opponent. As for the wind mage girl, she appeared visibly nervous as she avoided eye contact with Laura. Laura suddenly looked to the side, amongst the many spectators, and her eyes locked on Alex. A disdainful look appeared in her eyes as she snorted before looking away. Apparently, she had long found Alex while she was still seated. "Alex? What was that for? Do you want to attack me?" As for the students who were sitting around Alex, they thought that she had looked at them and began discussing amongst themselves. Back in the ring, the teacher looked at the two students and gave the command for the fight to begin. Immediately after the teacher's voice fell, the wind mage girl moved back rapidly and created more distance between herself and Laura. As for Laura, she directly summoned the stars of the fire element. "Running away is useless," she mumbled as the stars connected behind at a fast speed. 2 seconds. It took only 2 seconds for her star pattern to completely form. By now, the other girl had moved more than 20 meters away from Laura and was also creating her one-star pattern. Bright yellow stars formed above her and connected into a huge yellow star pattern that flickered with yellow mana, but her speed was only a second slower than Laura's. "Fireball!" Laura called out, and a bright ball of flame that was 3 times the size of a watermelon appeared above her before shooting at her opponent at an impressive speed. Everyone was stunned by the scene as the huge fireball drew a red arch in the air and headed for her opponent. Not only was her fireball bigger than that of other fire mages of the same rank, but the speed at which her spell flew was also faster. As expected of the hope of the academy. The teachers were impressed while the students were in awe. Laura's casting speed and the might of her spell had shocked them. Meanwhile, she saw the huge fireball flying toward her at such a fast speed. The wind mage revealed a panicked expression and hastily cast her spell. Her casting might have failed had she not connected the star pattern already. "Swift feet!" the girl cried out. The yellow star above her immediately let out a burst of mana that rushed into her body and covered her feet up to her knees. The girl immediately moved to the side. Swoosh! Her speed was stunning as she turned into a yellow blur in the eyes of the students and completely moved out of the way of the fireball. Boom! The fireball crashed into the place where she was standing previously and caused the ground to tremble from the force. Small pieces of concrete were even sent flying into the air. This was to show how much stronger Laura's spell was compared to the previous students with similar elements. Seeing that her opponent had dodged her spell, Laura remained indifferent as she summoned her stars again to cast another spell. The wind mage, looking at her previous location that now had a small scorched hole in it, breathed out a sigh of relief with her forehead covered in sweat. She turned around and saw Laura connecting another star pattern. Her eyes widened, and she immediately moved. As her legs were still covered in yellow mana, she was like a yellow blur as she approached Laura instead of moving away. Alex was surprised by this. He didn't expect the girl to approach Laura instead. Interesting. Chapter 46, Another Close Combat Mage. The spell Swift Feet was a spell that was similar to the lightning cage of the lightning element in the sense that it would only disappear when the mage wanted it to. While the lightning cage allowed a lightning mage to lock a target in place and was still able to cast other spells, Swift Feet would cover the mage's feet in some sort of boots which were made of mana and would increase the movement speed of that mage greatly. The girl who was fighting Laura at the moment was proof of the spell's usefulness. And just like lightning cage, the mana boots would not disappear as long as the girl still had mana to sustain it, and she could still use other spells with the two interrupting each other. Still, the girl's action had left everyone in a daze. Even the teachers and Laura, her opponent, were stunned. They didn't expect her to run toward Laura instead. After all, most wind mages used this spell as a means of escaping dangerous situations and not to rush towards enemies. Alex thought of his fighting style of engaging magic beasts in close combat and how different it was from the fighting style of the other students, only this wind mage had a similar fighting style to his. He began to have a better impression of the girl and was interested in what would happen next. Meanwhile, Laura had been surprised to see the girl running toward her, but her expression was still calm as she completed the star pattern and sent another huge fireball flying toward her opponent. Swoosh! The fireball flew through the air at a fast speed, but the wind mage dodged like a yellow flash of light and continued to head toward Laura. The fireball continued and crashed into the ground in the distance, causing the ring to tremble. As for the wind mage, she was getting closer and closer to Laura. At their current distance, she would reach Laura before the latter completed another star pattern. Laura had also noticed this, but she still summoned her stars regardless. The 5 blazing stars were like small fire stars above, they didn't connect and just floated there. The wind mage was already in front of her. The feet of the wind mage slid across the floor of the ring as she came to a stop in front of Laura before throwing a punch. Everyone. A punch? Which mage in their right senses would use a punch against another mage? While the students felt that it was a stupid move, Alex and the surrounding teachers didn't think so. Rather, they felt that it was a rather smart move. Adding up the momentum of the speed at which she had approached Laura, a simple punch might be able to knock out some adept mages. Pa! The fist of the wind mage created a small explosive sound in the wind as she punched out at Laura. Now that she had stopped running, Laura was able to see her movements clearly as she wasn't a blur anymore. Additionally, the speed at which she threw her punch wasn't as fast as her legs when running, so Laura was able to react and jump to the side, dodging the punch completely. The girl immediately reacted and dashed toward Laura again, catching up before Laura could balance herself. Immediately after she reached Laura, she would attack with her hands, but Laura was always able to dodge every hit. Although the girl's movement speed was fast, it only applied to when she was running and not the rest of her body. One could easily see that Laura was a bit faster than her opponent in terms of body movement. This was a difference in sub-stages that the girl was trying to cover up with swift feet. The fight continued like that for the following minutes. The wind mage chased after Laura every time Laura tried to move away and would then attack with either a slap or a punch. While Laura wasn't fast enough to keep the distance, she was always able to react to the girl's attack and avoid getting hit. This left the spectators in awe. Is throwing punches really that effective? I knew that mages get stronger bodies and become faster as they advance in rank, but can it really reach the point of ignoring spells? Is Goddess Laura going to lose? Impossible, Goddess Laura can't lose. Can't you see she's just playing around? Ah, now that you say it, it does look like that. Right? Her opponent is already sweating, but she's still calm. Ha ha ha, Goddess Laura must be giving her a chance to show her skill. How considerate. The students chatted loudly as they watched the fight. The same scene played over and over again, but each time was more exciting than the last time. Every Alex was interested and hoped that the girl would land at least one hit on Laura. After almost 10 minutes of avoiding her opponent's attack, Laura was finally fed up. It wasn't that she was playing with the other party, she really couldn't do anything else. How was she supposed to fight back when her opponent would not give her the chance to fast a spell? It was very vexing. As for why she looked calm even though she was really struggling, it was because she was doing her best to keep up her image. She was a genius, the hope of the Dragonic Magic Academy, and she couldn't show a struggling expression in a small competition like this. That's enough. Laura suddenly snorted. Her feet had just landed on the ground when the wind mage appeared in front of her with a palm flying toward Laura. This time, Laura didn't dodge but took the palm attack with her right hand. During their last exchange, she had made sure to move in circles around the wind mage and make sure that the latter only needed to turn her body to attack. Feweebnov.co. Because of this, there wasn't much momentum behind this palm. Bam! Both of their palms pressed together, and Laura used the opportunity to leap into the air while jumping backwards. She anticipated that her opponent would follow her. And she did. The wind mage ran after Laura and was ready to attack again once she reached the ground. Idiot! Laura thought with a smirk. The red stars that had been floating behind her for the past minutes suddenly began to move while she was still in mid-air. In less than 2 breaths, they connected into a complete star pattern. Flare, Laura called out softly, her feet landing gracefully on the ground at this moment. Balls of flames that were the size of oranges appeared around Laura, almost instantly, before spreading out in a circular formation. Even the size of her flare was bigger than that of the other fire mages. The eyes of the spectators lit up when they saw this. Goddess Laura was about to act. Her opponent, the wind mage, also realized that she had been tricked. A panicking expression covered her face as she immediately turned around, trying to run away. But it was too late, as one of the flares was already beside her. Explode! With the command from Laura, the balls of flame that had spread out in all directions exploded in succession, surrounding Laura in a ring of explosions with her at the center and unaffected. It was a spectacular scene. Her opponent had been affected by the explosions and was sent flying with her cloak, bringing out smoke. One of the teachers moved and caught her before she could crash into the ground. Student number 1 wins. Chapter 47, number 28's turn. With the announcement of Laura's victory, the students erupted into cheers. Almost everyone had expected her to win. Facing the cheering crowd, Laura remained calm as she slowly walked out of the ring, but only after shooting one more hateful glare at Alex. As for her opponent, the wind mage girl was still conscious and could still stand on her own. The teacher had caught her in the air previously to avoid further damage when she hit the ground. The girl was currently standing quietly in a corner of the ring with one of her hands hugging her other arm, her head lowered, and a gloomy atmosphere surrounded her as she listened to the cheers of the crowd that were not aimed at her. A few burnt marks could be seen here and there on her uniform and yellow cloak. "You did well, kid, don't blame yourself," the teacher standing next to the girl said with a sincere tone. Not just him, the vice dean, the other teachers, as well as Alex, felt that the wind mage wasn't bad at all, and her strategy had been effective. Laura's casting speed was just too fast, though she probably would have done better if she had a magic item to assist her. But who would use a magic item in such a small competition? After she was escorted out of the ring and students calmed down, the next set of students was called on stage to fight. Although the rest of the fights were exciting for the students, they didn't cheer as much as they did during Laura's fight. This made the following fights look dull. After another hour had passed and most of the students had fought, it was finally Alex's turn. Student number 129 and 28, come on stage, the teacher called out. The students excitedly looked at the ring for the students who had been called to appear. Although many of them were currently in a bad mood after they lost to their fellow students, some of them didn't feel it much since they never thought of entering the top 5, they were here to enjoy the show. As the spectating students chatted about the past fights, 2 students walked up to the ring.fribnovel.com immediately after they saw a certain red-haired handsome student with an old-looking silver-white cloak. The field erupted in an uproar that was even louder than when Laura had come up on stage. Forget about his face, everyone recognized the cloak immediately. After all, there was only one person with such a cloak in the entire academy. 4th-year student Alex. The famed trash of the academy. However, this uproar wasn't the students cheering for Alex, they were laughing at him. I didn't believe it when you said he registered, now I see you were really telling the truth. Ha ha ha, I can't believe this, did he come to get his ass kicked or does he think this is a writing competition? Ridiculous. I heard he can now use magic, though, looks like he finally reached the adept rank. Listen, my older brother is his classmate and told me that senior Alex recently reached the adept mage rank. Do you think he can even connect his star pattern properly? How long will he need to connect a single star pattern? 2 minutes. Connecting it properly? You should be asking if he has even learned how to summon his stars yet, ha ha ha. The ridiculing voices were everywhere in the field, and even some of the teachers had mocking expressions on their faces. One of them was Teacher Arnold, who was watching from a rather hidden corner in the field. The rest of the teachers had strange expressions on their faces as they looked at Alex in the ring. They felt that they should stop the students from speaking any further, but was it even possible to make over 500 students stop talking? Besides, it wasn't like they were lying, they were also curious if Alex could form a star pattern successfully since the rumors about him reaching the adept rank had only spread not long ago. From where the vice dean was sitting, she gazed at Alex with interest in her eyes. Are you going to prove them wrong or are you going to give them more reasons to look down on you? She mumbled with an expectant look, she was really curious about Alex. In the ring, Alex had a straight face as he listened to the voices around him and acted like he couldn't hear any of them, his expressionless eyes fixed on his opponent in front of him. Alex's opponent was a boy with a huge build and short brown hair, a purple cloak connected to the shoulders of his uniform, which represented the lightning element. Looking at the shade of his purple cloak, one could tell that Alex's opponent was a 3rd-year student, he was Alex's junior. Due to his large build, Alex had to raise his eye level slightly just to look at the other party's face. Hee, I'm so lucky to have senior Alex as my opponent. Don't worry, it won't hurt too much. The boy grinned as he looked down at Alex with his head raised high. Arrogant, Alex thought. He didn't reply to the other party's words, as he thought about how he should deal with this. Should he toy with the other party for a bit and make him look stupid by dodging his spells, or should Alex just end it immediately after the fight started? Which one would be more effective? Alex realized this was a serious matter, he couldn't decide. Begin. The teacher's voice sounded in Alex's ears, pulling him out of his thoughts. Whatever. Let's just get this over with. Alex sighed inwardly as his eyes shifted to his opponent. The boy's body exploded with the destructive mana of the lightning element, causing his cloak to flutter wildly. Yay, get him. Don't zap him too much, he's a senior after all, hee. Man, what an easy win. Why wasn't I his opponent? He's just dealing with trash, what's he showing off for? Many voices rang out but many of them were cheering to get Alex's ass kicked. Laura and the vice dean watched attentively for different reasons. One was watching because she was still confused as to how Alex had beaten 2 of her guards, while the other was looking forward to Alex's performance. The teachers shook their heads in pity for Alex, his opponent definitely wasn't planning to go easy on him. Well, they would just step him before Alex would get hurt too much. While everyone had their own thoughts, the year 3 student had already summoned his stars and was currently forming his star pattern. His speed wasn't too fast, and he should be done in 4 seconds. However, a calm voice suddenly sounded at this moment. Telekinesis. Everyone instinctively looked in the direction of the voice, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets when they saw Alex. His eyes were glowing with silver-white light, and his right hand was stretched toward his opponent with his fingers wide open. The next moment, they saw the lightning mage being lifted off the ground by an invisible force before he was tossed to the side. His body flew uncontrollably through the air like a bullet before crashing into the ground at the edge of the ring and then bouncing off to the ground. Everyone. Chapter 48, Number 28 wins 2 seconds. Alex had used 2 seconds to complete his star pattern. The vice dean, Laura, as well as the few teachers who had been paying attention to him, were shocked by what they saw. How is this possible? How can this happen? Laura's shoulders were trembling slightly as she questioned herself. Alex's casting speed was just as fast as hers. This is getting even more interesting, the vice dean thought with a smile. She had seen Alex's relaxed expression when he connected his star pattern in under 2 seconds, it was as if it wasn't a big deal to him. The entire field remained silent for some time as the students shifted their gazes from Alex to the lightning mage who had been knocked off stage. Alex's eyes were still glowing with the light of his element, and his hand was still stretched out in a grabbing motion. His opponent, the lightning mage, was currently trying to stand up, but his entire body was trembling. He looked like he was in so much pain. The students finally returned to their senses after a few more seconds, and the field went into another uproar. Alex, won. How's this possible? How did that idiot lose to a trash? But his casting speed, I didn't see it properly. Did he really just reach the adept mage rank? Cheat, he definitely cheated. The voices of the students were as loud as drums as they voiced their opinions. Many believed that Alex's opponent had been careless, which caused him to lose, while others concluded that Alex had cheated and should be disqualified. They were unwilling to accept the truth. The glow in Alex's eyes receded, and he lowered his arm before turning to look at the teachers who were still staring at him in disbelief. Seeing Alex staring at them, the 2 teachers immediately came back to their senses. One of them quickly went to check on the lightning mage, who Alex had tossed off the ring, while the other announced Alex's victory. Student number 28 wins. All eyes were fixed on Alex after the teacher announced his victory, but these were not the eyes of disdain and mockery that he was used to, rather, they were eyes full of shock and disbelief. In response to this, Alex kept an indifferent expression as he walked to his seat. However, he was grinning inwardly. He was pleased with their reaction. He wondered what their reaction would be if he had not purposely slowed down the speed at which his star pattern had formed. Their souls might have left their bodies due to shock. No, I don't accept this. I can't lose to someone like him. A loud voice suddenly sounded from behind, causing the field to fall silent as they looked at the owner of the voice. Alex also stopped walking and turned to look at the other side of the ring. After getting up with the help of the teacher, Alex's opponent, the lightning mage, had climbed back to the ring and was glaring at Alex with bloodshot eyes. His hatred was not hidden in the slightest. Small drops of blood could be seen on the corner of the boy's mouth while his entire body trembled. He felt so embarrassed that he wanted to just disappear. How could he lose to this trash? Someone who hasn't made any progress and has been ridiculed by them for years couldn't accept defeat from such a person. Wouldn't that make him worse than trash? How was he going to survive his following years in the academy with such a dark history? He had to regain his dignity by defeating this trash senior. The boy's eyes were almost spitting out flames as he glared at Alex with all his might. Finding it difficult to accept and understand his defeat, he was casually forming his star pattern when a strong force suddenly grabbed him and lifted him off the ground. He was then tossed away with much speed before he could even struggle and had almost passed out after he crashed into the ground. Recalling what had happened was so humiliating and vexing that he almost vomited blood. Yes, he must have cheated. There's no way he can connect his stars faster than I can, I'm at the top of my class. He must have already started connecting his stars before the teacher announced that the fight was to start, the boy concluded in his heart. Even though he felt that his assumption was absurd, he chose to believe it since it made him feel better about losing to Alex. I want a rematch, he must have cheated. I want to fight again. The boy walked past the teacher and approached Alex. His mana slowly rose from his body as purple lightning arcs ran around him. Alex raised an eyebrow, and he slowly raised his left hand from under his cloak and pointed at the boy, his eyes turned silver white. But before any of them could do anything, the two teachers swept into action. One appeared in front of Alex while the one who had helped the boy to get up walked up to him and grabbed his shoulder. Don't be stupid, you already lost. The teacher said to the boy in a cold tone. He was disappointed in the boy's attitude. The boy was stunned by the teacher's words and wanted to say something, but he didn't get a chance as the teacher dragged him off the stage. As for Alex, he slowly lowered his hand after seeing that the matter had been dealt with. He walked back to his seat without saying a word. Seeing Alex return, the teacher who had appeared in front of him let out a secret sigh, his forehead had actually gathered sweat. Did I just feel threatened by a student, the teacher thought to himself in disbelief. In the face of Alex's outstretched hand just now, the teacher had felt something that should only be felt when in front of something stronger than him. Danger. He shook his head to get the feeling off his mind and continued with the competition. The next set of students was called to the stage, but the spectators were no longer as interested as before, the aftershock from Alex's spell was still in effect. The students were talking about it while throwing occasional glances at him. As for Laura, the girl didn't take her eyes off him again for the rest of the competition, the same was for the boy whom Alex had defeated. Both of them stared at Alex with deep hatred in their eyes and looked like they wanted to go rip him to shreds right there and then. Alex obviously noticed this and a provocative smile crept up his face, enraging the two students even more that their faces turned dark. Alex could already guess that either of them would want to get back at him after they left the academy. He was looking forward to it. The competition continued until around 5 in the evening, and all the students who had registered had fought, and half of them had been eliminated. Those who had passed would have another fight the next day to cut down the number of students again. This was how it was going to be until only 5 people were left. Finally, the students were allowed to go home after the last 2 students fought, and the vice dean had said a few words. As the students streamed out of the field, the most heated topic was inevitably Alex's victory. The students were still in disbelief as they discussed this matter. The student who had lost to Alex was nowhere to be seen, so they couldn't ask him what had happened, and no one knew when he had sneaked out of the field. No one could blame him for escaping secretly, though. Anyone else would be too embarrassed to show their face after they had lost to the trash student of the academy. Alex had also disappeared without anyone knowing, too, not like anyone was going to approach him anyway. In a quiet corner in the academy, Laura could be seen with her back resting on the wall and her thumb in front of her mouth as she bit her finger. A distracted expression could be seen on her face. She was currently recalling the scene that had played in the field today. She had been watching Alex closely and had seen everything from the start. Alex hadn't cheated as the rest assumed, and had even waited for his opponent to start connecting their star pattern. His own speed of forming a star pattern was just too fast. It had only taken him 2 seconds. This was a speed that even Laura had managed to reach after years of training. How long had Alex been in the adept mage rank? Will I still be able to redeem myself? Laura mumbled to herself as the words of her father replayed in her head. She became even more nervous. Did she really need to ask for her father's help just to deal with Alex? Chapter 49, Having fun with some juniors. After leaving the academy, Alex headed straight for home. A lot of time had already passed due to the competition. Luckily, he had informed Emily earlier, so she didn't have to wait for him after closing for school. She had walked home by herself since Alex won't be able to come get her. Walking home, Alex's speed wasn't hurried or slow either. He had left earlier without anyone realizing it, so he didn't meet any other student of the academy along the way, or that was what he thought. Just after he had passed Emily's school a bit, a group of 3 people in the academy's uniform appeared in front of him from an alley. There were 3 boys, one of them had a purple cloak, while the other 2 had red cloaks around their shoulders. Alex could immediately tell that the 3 of them were third-year students. His eyes lit up with pleasant surprise as he recognized the boy with the purple cloak. How predictable. Alex chuckled inwardly as he stared at the boy who had been his opponent earlier today during the competition. He guessed that the 2 boys with red cloaks must be his friends. What's this? I thought you wouldn't be too stupid to come seeking revenge. I didn't expect you to actually come. Alex voiced out with a small smile on his face. He wasn't in support of bullying, but these people came to him. He wasn't going to let this slide, especially since they had treated the previous Alex during the past years. Still being arrogant after you caught me off guard? A trash who doesn't know his place. I'll see if you can come to the academy tomorrow after we're done with you. The boy with the purple cloak said through gritted teeth. Similarly, the 2 boys beside him had threatening expressions on their faces. Alex glanced at them with calm eyes. He was holding back his urge to laugh. Would these kids run away if they learned that he was actually at the expert mage rank? I know you want to get tossed around again, but what of those 2? Alex asked, a teasing look on his face as he glanced at the 2 boys on the side. Shut up, trash. Do you really think you can defeat the 3 of us? You must have been kicked in the head by a beast. One of the boys snarled. He immediately stepped forward and summoned his stars before connecting them. The 5 stars released thick red mana threads that looked like red snakes. These threads stretched and connected with the other stars, forming a red star pattern behind the boy as his cloak fluttered. Fireball! The boy shouted with a confident grin. It had taken him 5 seconds to form the star pattern. Alex! What was this slowness? He almost fell asleep while waiting for the other party to finish casting. A fireball that was as big as an ostrich's egg appeared in front of the boy's palms before flying toward Alex at an impressive speed. The boy and his friends looked with expectant expressions as the fireball sailed. Boom! The fireball crashed into the ground where Alex had been standing previously and caused a loud sound. A cloud of smoke and dirt rose into the air. This area was close to the outskirts of Balan City and was a bit deserted. They were not afraid of people coming because of the loud noise. After all, who in their right senses would head toward a place with such noise? And most people who lived on the outskirts were poor. Would they dare scold them after finding out that they were mages? Did you hit him? I can't see because of the smoke. Do you think he's dead? The 2 boys with red cloaks discussed with each other as they tried to look through the cloud of smoke. They had been so invested in seeing the fireball fly that they didn't pay attention to Alex. As for the boy who had been Alex's opponent, he had a serious expression as he stared at the smoke. For some reason, he felt that Alex should not have been hit so easily. Unlike his 2 friends, he had seen that Alex didn't move even after the fireball arrived in front of him. He had that teasing smile on his face the entire time. That bastard! The boy cursed inwardly, and Alex's teasing face appeared in his mind. Don't tell me you were expecting to hit me with that slow fireball. Even a kid would be able to dodge it? Alex's voice sounded from the side, and the 3 of them immediately turned to look and saw him resting his back on the wall of an old building with his arms folded in front of his chest. The 3 of them were shocked. When did he get there? Freeobnville.cm what? With your expressions, you really thought I would get hit with that? Sigh, no wonder the academy hasn't gotten any good positions in the previous tournament. It's because it's filled with people like you 3. Alex said with a sigh while shaking his head, appearing sorrowful. This action greatly enraged the 3 boys, especially the boy who had cast the spell. His face turned ugly, and he gritted his teeth. "How dare you trash talk to me like that?" he shouted before summoning his stars again and casting another spell. He sent another fireball flying toward Alex. Boom! The fireball landed on the wall where Alex was resting, and the wall immediately collapsed, creating an even louder noise. But Alex had dodged and had moved to another place without getting affected. Once again, they didn't see him move. "Ish, don't talk to me like that. I'm your senior, remember?" Alex flashed them a smile. He was having a lot of fun teasing them. "A trash like you can never be my senior," that boy shouted as he cast another spell. Flare. Small tongues of flame that were like sparks appeared in the air and floated toward Alex before surrounding him. Alex purposely didn't move and just stood there with a relaxed smile. His relaxed expression made the boy angrier, and he yelled with all his might. "Explode!" A series of explosions rang out as the sparks turned into violent explosions around Alex, drowning the place in flames and creating a smoke screen. "You keep calling me trash, yet you're the one who keeps missing. What should I call you then?" Alex's voice sounded from a different location again, and the three of them looked over with wide eyes. He had dodged again. Finally reaching his breaking point, the boy who had been attacking Alex all this time turned to his friends with veins popping on his face. "What the hell are you two looking at? Attack together." They then looked at the lightning mage before hissing angrily. "Aren't we here to help you get revenge? Why are you just looking instead of attacking?" Looking at their friend who appeared to have lost his composure, the other two immediately stepped forward and summoned their stars before forming star patterns. 2 red and 1 purple star patterns formed in the air as they prepared to attack Alex together. "Ah, that's more like it. This is getting more interesting." Alex chuckled softly as he appeared even more relaxed. This action enraged the three boys even further. Fireball. Flare. Lightning ball. A ball of flame, red spark that threatened to explode at any moment, and a cracking orb of violent lightning shot toward Alex. Boom. Boom. Brrzzzt. The three boys attacked together, and their spells crashed into the place where Alex was standing and caused a great commotion because of the impact. My, why so serious? Let's have some fun, put more energy into it." Alex's teasing voice rang from beside them. The three of them looked over and they saw Alex standing not far from them, his arms still folded in front of his chest as he looked at the spot where their spells had landed while shaking his head. He appeared disappointed. The eyes of the three almost popped out from their sockets when they saw this. "How does he keep dodging? I didn't even see him move," the lightning mage thought to himself. He felt something was wrong, but he was too frustrated about his loss to Alex and didn't want to think too much about it. Alex turned back to look at them at this point and saw the three of them staring at him. "Oh, hello there," Alex smiled with his eyes closed and waved one of his hands at them. The three of them almost went crazy, their faces were red, and their bodies were trembling. It was as if they were about to explode. "You bastard, stop dodging!" one of the boys with the red cloak shouted. Alex tilted his head with a raised eyebrow as he stared at the boy. He suddenly stepped forward. Swoosh! It was as if he disappeared from their sight and immediately appeared in front of the boy the next moment with his hand moving toward the boy's face. Bam! Alex slapped the boy across the face and sent him flying toward a nearby building. The boy crashed into the building and destroyed the wall. "Are you stupid? How will it be fun if I don't make you work a little?" Alex scolded like an adult scolding a child. The other two. Chapter 50. I guess the two boys were frightened as they stared at Alex in front of them. They didn't see him reach them. How was he so fast? They turned to look at their friend who had been sent flying by Alex's slap. The building crumbled, and the boy lay on the debris. Although he didn't look injured, he had passed out. They returned their gazes to Alex, their eyes trembling with fear. Monster. One of the boys muttered with difficulty as he stepped backwards. He didn't dare to take his eyes off Alex again from fear that Alex would suddenly disappear and appear in front of him. You're calling me a monster now, didn't you all agree that I was trash? Why the sudden change of heart? Alex asked with a wide grin that made him look like a demon. The boys found it very scary. Without a moment of hesitation, they abandoned every thought that they had in mind previously and turned around to run. They even forgot to take their unconscious friend with them. Getting away from Alex was more important. Running away? We aren't done yet. Alex let out a wicked chuckle when he saw the two running like they were being chased by a ghost. He stepped forward and appeared beside the lightning mage almost instantly. With their speed difference, they could only dream of outrunning Alex, who was in the expert mage rank. Arriving beside the boy like a ghost, Alex pressed his left hand on the boy's shoulder, putting enough pressure that the boy wasn't able to move an inch anymore. The boy's eyes widened, and a look of horror was visible on his face as he glanced at Alex, who was beside him. How is he so strong? The boy's mind was filled with this question. It was as if they were facing an entirely different person who had the same appearance as the Alex they knew. This person was a monster. At this moment, he hoped that someone would be bold enough to come take a look at what was causing so much commotion and save them from this monster. As for the other boy with the red cloak, he had mobilized all the mana in his body to increase his speed and was already tens of meters away. He ran without looking back. One might think that he would die if he slowed down for just a moment. Alex's grin turned more sinister at the sight of the boy running away, startling the lightning mage beside him. His eyes turned silver white as the stars of the space element appeared above their heads. The stars began to link with each other and formed a star pattern in just 2 seconds. Of course, Alex had slowed down the process on purpose. His real casting speed was less than 1 second. After forming the star pattern, Alex softly whispered the name of the spell. Telekinesis. The boy, who was already dozens of meters away, suddenly felt a powerful force wrap around his body, and he was lifted off the ground. His eyes widened in horror when he saw that the force was pulling him back. No, Alex was behind him. The boy frantically struggled to break free, but other than his head and legs, he couldn't move the rest of his body even a bit. So strong. His body flew backwards in the air at a fast speed before he was tossed to the ground in front of Alex. The force of the toss wasn't strong, so he didn't feel any pain, only fear. Stand up. Alex's voice sounded in the boy's ears, but the latter didn't dare to move and kept lying on the ground. I said stand up. Alex spat out coldly. His voice was so chilling that the boy felt the temperature around him turn cold. Still trembling, he slowly stood up and faced Alex. Alex. The lightning mage. Both of them were stunned by the boy's appearance after he stood up. His face was currently covered in tears and snorts, and the pants of his uniform had a big wet stain around the crotch area. An unpleasant smell entered their nostrils, and they could not help but make a disgusted face. This dude actually peed on himself. The lightning mage, who was still being held in place, felt that it was ridiculous. He was the one that Alex was currently grabbing. Why was it his friend who peed himself? What should he do in his situation then? Pass out? After managing to get up, the boy suddenly bowed deeply to Alex. Please forgive me, Senior Alex. I swear I didn't mean to insult you or mock you, they forced me to. Please believe me, Senior Alex, just let me go. The boy wept seriously. The boy with the lightning element was shocked by this development. While Alex gazed at him expressionlessly, he wasn't touched by the boy's words at all. Alex removed his hand from the shoulder of the student with the purple cloak before pushing him gently toward his friend. Now, the two were standing next to each other and were facing Alex. Both of them looked at Alex with confusion and nervousness, not knowing what he wanted to do. Now attack me together, Let's continue from where we stopped before you suddenly tried to run away. Alex took a look at them, he nodded while telling them to attack him. The students. It's fine if you want to get revenge for everything we've done to you, but asking us to attack again after what just happened is just too cruel. Who would still dare to attack after seeing the person you are attacking constantly playing with you? The strength gap between both sides was as clear as day. Naturally, the two students were unwilling and looked at Alex with pleading expressions. But Alex's face was as hard as a rock, as if he couldn't see their expressions. Seeing their unwillingness, Alex gave them a little push. Attack me together or end up like your friend over there. He pointed at the student who was still unconscious on top of the collapsed building. The two boys also looked at their unconscious friend, and their bodies trembled, their expressions were as if they were about to cry as they reluctantly summoned their stars. Alex nodded in satisfaction. Soon, spells were flying at him one after the other, and he continued to switch places with ease, further making the students frustrated and depressed. Minutes later, Alex had reached the side of the outskirts where his home was located. In the end, he didn't attack the two students and just exhausted their mana. Although he didn't deal any real damage to them, Alex believed that what he had done was more than enough. If it were a cultivation world like the ones he used to read about, those two would definitely develop inner demons after today, and their future developments would be greatly affected. Walking toward his house, Alex caught sight of 5 figures in an alley not far away. The 5 figures were resting easily, but immediately they saw Alex, they looked like people who had seen a terrifying ghost as they ran like madmen. Some fell to the ground hard after losing their footing, but they immediately got up the next moment and started running again. Alex. Maybe my lecture was too effective? People might think I'm the thug if they saw those 5 people's behavior. Alex mumbled to himself. He decided to educate those 5 again when he had the chance. It's not like I'm bullying them, I'm just teaching them how to behave as civilized citizens. Alex thought to himself while nodding at his benevolence. But that was a matter for another day, getting home was more important right now. After taking a few more turns, Alex arrived in the street where his home was located, he could already see the building. But a frown immediately formed on his face as his eyes landed on the 2 figures in front of their house, he recognized one of them as his father. As for the other party, it was a fat man in an expensive-looking coat and shiny rings, who swallowed his shirt fingers. The man's back was facing Alex while he conversed with Alex's father. Alex couldn't hear what they were saying because of the distance between them, but from his father's expression, he could already tell that the fat man wasn't here for a good reason. Luckily, as an expert rank mage, Alex didn't need to get too close before he could hear what they were saying. Silently moving behind a building that was close to their house, Alex could not hear what the fat man was saying. Are you seriously testing my patience? I would have long dealt with others who dared to owe me for so long, but I've been giving you face because we were once friends, why don't you give me face and pay back as well? I'm done listening to whatever story you have to tell, I wasn't the one who sent you to spend everything on your trash, mage of a son. Have my 200,000 zen ready by next week or be prepared to give up your home and go live on the street. The fat man spat angrily, but Alex's father didn't dare to say a word. Alex was speechless as he listened, all of this for just 200,000 zen? And you claimed you were once friends. Looking at the fat man's appearance, he was definitely someone who could overlook such an amount of money, he was just giving Alex's father a tough time or really just wanted their house. Alex was thinking of how he was going to pay back the money without his parents asking questions when the fat man suddenly opened his mouth again, his next words made Alex's eyes flash with killing intent.